Hola, hola. My name is Ricardo. I am the host of the Lucha Jovers podcast here in the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. We are a Spanish speaking show dedicated to discussing and analyzing pro wrestling from all across the world. From AW to CMLL, we talk about American wrestling, Japanese wrestling, and of course, Lucha Libre. If something big happened in the pro wrestling world, we will talk about it. So if you know Spanish or have a friend that knows Spanish or want to practice your lucha libre pronunciations, go listen to the Lucha Jovers podcast right here in the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. Nos vemos por ahí.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Hey there, Thunder Buddies and travelers down Thunder Road. It's us, Days of Thunder, the WCW Thunder rewatch podcast that you didn't ask for, but we did anyway, coming to you as part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network and powered by alargemanappears.com. I'm your host, your lifeguard on Thunder Road, Dave Ryan, and I'm joined as I am every week by my faithful co-host, Kieran LaFour. Kieran, how are you?
I'm doing all right. I mostly trying not to melt, to be honest.
Yeah. It's been a tough one. It's probably like it's great weather for Bash at the Beach, but it's not great weather for podcast recording.
Yes, I am very, very grateful that the noise reduction on my microphone is cutting out my fan for the recording. So
yeah,
I'll be all right. How are you?
I'm pretty good. My birthday is the day we're recording this, and it was like it's probably the most sensationally uneventful birthday of my life because I think for the first time in a number of years, I didn't take the day off or necessarily do anything because like both me and Emma were both working all day. So it was literally like I started the day with the just glorious task of bringing my cat to the vet to get stitches out of his ears. That's
what a treat.
And it's all glamour around here. I'd say it's a superstar life I lead. Then a full day of work. But we did treat ourselves to a takeaway. And now I'm chill. I've got an adult beverage. I've got a regular Coke Z. I'm good to go. Kieran, after your appearance on the show last week, how did you find your breaking yourself in on Thunder? And are there any more kind of like, are there things you left on the table, cards you left on the table, things that went unsaid that have been kind of eaten away at you since?
No, not really. But like, we talk about a lot of bad wrestling and bad presentation and stuff on the show, and I thought we could do something where we start positively, like praising things we like.
Okay.
So, for example, like on this show, Bash at the Beach, we're kind of skipping ahead a bit, but like I thought Michael Buffer just knocked it out of the park.
Whoa.
I'm back, and I'm better than ever. Got a knack for making things better. Face facts, 'cause your opinion don't matter. This a maniac is gonna step on whomever.
Hang on, I'm not having this. What the fuck has happened to this show in my absence?
The hell?
Michael Buffer praise?
By God, is that Stagger Lee Malone's music? Lee, how the fuck are you, buddy?
I mean, I'm not happy.
Of all the things to get him back to the show.
Yeah.
I
That's
come
what
back.
it took. All it would have taken is just someone to praise any of the Garrett, Aaron, anyone just to mention Buffer in a positive light. It's like the fucking bat signal over Gotham.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I can stand only so much, and I can't stand no more. Listen, I am ecstatic, absolutely ecstatic to be back on your birthday, no less.
Yeah, what a present.
I mean, I don't have to buy you anything now.
He didn't pop out of a cake, which is slightly disappointing.
No, well, that's for the after show.
I mean, we don't do cake bits.
That's on the Patreon.
We put that stuff behind the paywall. You better believe it. LargeManAppears.com.
$20 for the lens.
Doing his full happy birthday, Mr. President routine. I like the way we've undercut Lee's serious I'm happy to be back with like implying he's some sort of exotic dancer.
I mean, listen, I won't deny those allegations.
Can't confirm or deny. He only came back because the local Spearmint Rhino closed down.
I gotta make a living somehow, Dave.
He's off the pole and back on the mic.
Oh God!
What is he doing with that mic stand?
If you listen, you can faintly hear the sounds of "Do You Think I'm Sexy" playing.
That's what people can't see, is me gyrating for an hour and a half every time I'm on this podcast.
You could probably do a pretty good stripper routine to that Bischoff music. To be honest, it's got that kind of vibe. It's taken 5 minutes to go completely off the rails.
Listen,
oh God!
This show went off the rails within 5 minutes of it starting. So
yeah.
Back on episode 1.
But yes, pal, you have been missed very dearly. I know people are going to be delighted to hear that you're back.
No, they won't. I'm delighted to be back. Hopefully permanently. Unless Kieran has actually replaced me.
Oh,
who
hell
knows?
no. I've got my own weekly show to do and monthly appearances elsewhere to do. I don't need a third project.
Yeah.
Here, have your seat back. I've kept it warm.
I could sense that regret after you sent that tweet saying, I'd like to talk about Bash at the Beach. And then I said, let's do it.
It was kind of like, if Dave was still going to be in trouble for a co-host,
I think you kind of like, you got that kind of brash confidence of like, the first Thunder I volunteered for wasn't so bad. Like, how bad could this pay-per-view be?
Exactly.
Then
right?
I think we all found out.
I mean, coming from the Nitro, WCW was on an upswing through that Thunder.
I'm nicely in the middle here because, like, as we chronicled on the last episode of Thunder, like, you watched a hell of a lot of TV in the build up to this pay-per-view. Whereas Lee,
I've watched I think I watched one Thunder since the last pay-per-view.
Yeah, you like to say you are going to be lost because we've even done a Nights of Nitro since the pay-per-view.
I think it's two Thunders and a Nights of Nitro I missed.
Yeah. How much of a shock to the system was it trying to figure out what was going on here?
Well, the main event angle I remember from watching at the time.
Yeah.
The rest of the card, nope.
Which is funny because it actually was one of they telegraphed everything on the TV for once that Kieran got the full
rundown.
Full rundown correctly in the build-up.
that was only from watching like the prior Thunder, the Nitro, and then Thunder 70, the go home for this show. And they successfully mentioned and promoted all 8 matches that were on the card.
Purely by accident, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, everything revolves around Ric Flair, so.
Yes. Was there like a little bit of a hope in your head that by the time you came back, at least like some of this stuff would have been sundown, like the RPVP Ric Flair situation, or
I had genuinely forgot about RPVP and the whole units involving Flair and Arn and Piper and the feud with Bagwell.
I thought very much of you when I saw, like, what is Lee going to think when he sees David Flair coming out with the United States Championship?
I'm gonna think I missed an historic moment.
Yeah. You're not going to start becoming for David Flair what Garrett is to Dom Mysterio. You're not going to be like the one David Flair defender, are you?
I mean, there's more than one of us.
Because like we might have to think about your probationary status here on the.
to quote one Tobias Funke, there's dozens of us.
Dozens of us. Great. Now everybody's thinking of David Flair and cutoff. So let's move on and actually start talking about this pay-per-view. Gentlemen, this is the first three-hander pay-per-view, so feel free to jump in where appropriate, but I will throw around the virtual table here as much as I can. This is Bash at the Beach 1999 from Sunrise, Florida, 11th of July. Yeah, 11th of July, 1999. 175,000 buys according to WrestleNomics. So healthy, but not necessarily. It's interesting watching that kind of like. So Brandon Thurston has like a graph, that kind of like a bar graph of all the pay-per-view buys, and you can see it like nice and building all the way 96, 97, 98. And here it's still kind of like, it's like a bit of a wavy, kind of like it is dipping overall, but there's still some kind of, they could still make a turn here before it absolutely careens off a cliff. So 175,000 buys, nothing to be sniffed at necessarily.
The figure that surprised me was there were 13,500 people in the building. Like, that's not to be sniffed at.
That's the first takeaway I took from the show was, man, this is a big building and it's full.
It's a big, full, and yet eerily quiet building for a lot of the night.
Well, there was one person that was very over at one stage.
Yeah.
That wasn't on the show.
Yeah, there's like, this is, I think, the most I've commented on a crowd in my notes, where there's like frequent, I'm just going, these fuckers are dead. But like, I can't blame them. I can't blame them one bit, because what do they have to be losing their minds over? It's the usual WCW thing of they're relying on, certain people in certain spots that, regardless of what kind of shit they're in storyline wise, that they'll get their big pop and their big reaction just because it's them.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because I was actually thinking as I was setting up for recording this, is like, if you think about the go home week of television, Kieran, the biggest two promoted names on television that week were Bret Hart and Goldberg.
Yes.
Who are not here.
It's the appropriately named, so not appearing at this pay-per-view.
Bret Hart and Goldberg both returned on Nitro. Goldberg, what did Goldberg do?
None of this was mentioned on the pay-per-view.
Goldberg was played out by Megadeth.
Yeah, so it was the live performance. It was at the Georgia Dome. It was Bret's return promo after Owen's death.
Yeah.
Where they just gave him a mic and said, "You've got as long as you want." And
by the way, unadvertised return.
Unadvertised, yeah. And then the live performance of Crush 'Em by Megadeth from Universal, the unspecified sequel, as we talked about last time.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they finish the song, the stage fills with smoke and Goldberg comes out yelling, "I'm back." And then they cut immediately to commercial.
Yeah. And neither man appeared on Thunder, and neither man is on this pay-per-view.
Nope.
They showed the Bret speech on Thunder, but they didn't show Goldberg at all.
Well, they didn't show it on the network.
Yes.
So I've done with this, I was watching the broadcast version, and they show it on that, but because it contains a copyrighted song, it got cut from the network, even though there's plenty of time in that segment where after Megadeth fuck off for them to put a cut in and just show Goldberg coming out.
I would have loved if they kept the whole thing in and they just like overdubbed Megadeth, one of those terrible network stock tracks. Just tried to make it work. Just do the B Team NWO music.
Well, I mean, so this show, I again didn't watch the network version. I got I think I have a rip of the VHS, the commercial VHS. And talking of bad music, it starts with an opening video to a knockoff of Walk by Pantera.
Oh, is that what the original was?
That's what the intro was.
Yeah, a Jimmy Hart version. I called it Stumble by Panterable.
Yeah. And it's all about the thing about this video package, and this I assume was getting at you as a video editor. is like it was all about one feud, which was the Team Madness versus Sting and Nash match that's main eventing tonight. But the way it was edited, I watched TV. I watched all the Thunders and at least one of the Nitros building up to this. And this video package did not give me a clue about what this feud was about.
No, that was my my first note is about the song. My second note is that it doesn't even tell a story. It's just incidents that have occurred between these players in the main event.
Yeah.
And
it's like a succession of GIFs.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Like every match on this show gets some sort of build-up clip or video package.
Yeah.
They are all appalling.
Yeah.
They are,
really are.
So do you ever seen like any old movie trailers where they'd be like 5 minutes long and it would be like 3 scenes from the movie in full and then the title at the end and coming soon to this picture house.
In a world. Yeah.
Not even that. Before that. Like I'm talking like
full preview.
Yeah.
Where they
from like the 50s
whole
and 60s.
plot, the whole plot of the movie.
Yeah, exactly that. And all of the videos on this show were like that. It was just unedited shit from Nitro and or Thunder.
Yeah,
including errors left in.
Yeah. Lee, something that we have been big fans of on the show going back to the year dot are the pay-per-view sets, and Bash at the Beach is one of our favorites. How did you enjoy this iteration, including Mean Gene's bait shop?
I mean, if that's not a shot at the hotline, I don't know what is.
That's where he's actually in that shack with like a red phone on a table. That's
just him and Mark Madden there making up rumors.
Yeah.
I like the new Bash at the Beach logo. I'm pretty sure it's a new logo, and like the new coloring on it at least.
Yeah.
And the set it's basic by WCW standards, I think, but it's good.
Yeah, it's still something different, isn't it? And the
it
Mean
fits
Gene
with the
thing.
theme.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly.
And like again, it's another one of those things that like it's a stark contrast to now, you know.
Yeah.
Speaking of like something where they're making a little bit of extra effort, it is Hawaiian shirts a go-go at the commentary station. This is just fabulous. Bobby has one of his good lines. He has a couple of good lines tonight, but one of his good lines, the only thing that's bright in Florida is the sun. And me, of course. Yes. Realizing he was accidentally burying himself.
I thought Bobby had a very good night. I thought
So
this
did
was
I.
Look, yeah.
By his 1999 standards, I thought he was very good.
Yeah.
Like
He's still nothing on 98 or years before. Like he is still declining. A year-on-year trend overall is still declining. But like, yeah, compared to like we've been stuck with Larry now on Thunder for some months, and it's no comparison.
he pops Tony like 3 minutes in. Like he's asking, have you ever been to a junkyard? And Tony's like, of course I have. And he's like, I haven't. Why would I go to a junkyard?
Something that was very much until you said it in the previews, because they either didn't mention it on the Go Home Thunder or they really just mentioned it in passing. One of the things they promote on this show is the boxing match with referee Mills Lane. And I was just like, my God, are they like, this is what, several months after Bart Gunn got knocked on his ass, and they were like, you know what? The problem with Brawl for All is that Roddy Piper wasn't in it. So let's run it back.
Well, like, I obviously coming in cold. I was like, oh, Mills Lane, like, this must be the peak of Celebrity Deathmatch.
That was my first thought.
And then I was thinking about it. I was like, no, Celebrity Deathmatch was, like, earlier than this.
But that's also not what he's promoting.
Yeah, and then it's like Judge Mills Lane. I'm like, what?
Yeah, like I had a note written because it was a couple of seconds before they mentioned why. They showed a preview clip of him coming out in the judge's robes, and I was like, why is Mills Lane dressed like a Victorian ghost child?
one of Rebby Hardy's kids.
Yeah, and then when he comes out on the pay-per-view, they're like, oh, it's Judge Mills Lane. And then I ended up, they didn't even go further with that explanation. I did end up Googling it. I was like, oh, okay, they were doing like a Judge Judy type thing, which they also make a joke about later. But yeah, I was just like, oh my God, a fucking boxing match and fucking Piper. Anyway, Mean Gene ready to party. He's gonna be partying in that bait shop all night. He's got breaking news. Would you believe it? It's on the hotline just for $1.69 per minute.
Nice.
I don't get any Mean Gene stuff on the VHS at all. He's completely absent from what I watched. Yep, wasn't there at all.
Oh, does he? I wonder, does he get cut out because of the whole, like, obviously they can't the
because it's a commercial release and they don't want people calling up a hotline. They want to be
which
promoting it.
Also makes it weird that the network just fucking kept it in and just put a really bad graphic over it saying number no
don't
longer
call
in
this.
use.
Number's dead.
Even though the number is still blatantly visible on the screen.
I think they blurred out the Canadian number for no apparent reason.
That was a bit we referenced them already, but that was a bit that Alvarez did at one stage. He rang the Mean Gene hotline on the air once, and it turned out to be shall we say, an adult party line.
I tried the same thing with Andy Ogden when we were reviewing UWA Wrestling Rampage. We rang the UWA hotline while recording. Unfortunately, number is long since disconnected. We didn't get anything.
I did a rehash on the Patreon recently, and they were talking about the hotline way back then, and the degree to which they are not arsed about this thing by comparison. They had Crockett had a weekly schedule. Every day of the week you got somebody different. So there was one day that was Eddie Gilbert and Missy. There was one day that was
Heyman day.
There was a Paul Heyman day.
Gordon Soley boring day.
Gin,
probably.
Everybody had a day of the week, and they all had a different flavor to them. Whereas now it's just Mean Gene is going to be telling you about Sin, Nat, Cincinnati.
But it's that was all kind of tied to Gene's pay, wasn't it?
Yes.
Making that a success made him money.
Yeah. And it's always about who's backstage. And I would love to hear the story of the child who absolutely ruined their parents' phone bill, to hear that Johnny Grunge and Flyboy Rocco Rock were backstage.
I bet he really sold it. Former World Tag Team Champions from somewhere else are here.
Yeah. That child was trying to emulate the grunge.
Jesus.
So, Tanae says he was tipped off about the location of a junkyard, which I love, because that implies prior to that it was going to be a match that took place shrouded in mystery that we were never going to see, which was a better version of reality, I think.
Camera crew running around Florida hunting for junkyards to find where these men are fighting.
I was just going to say, I wonder, was it the helicopter hovering over fucking head with a camera and a big fucking light shining down?
Deafening roar of the helicopter propeller during this whole match. Fuck, we'll talk about that. Speaking of things that probably raise your hackles, Kieran, the audio editing during that match is going to be a fun thing to talk about.
That was the least of its problems.
Yeah, that's to be fair. Did we take any time to look at the spray paint on the cars in this car park? Because I got one that was my favorite thing that I've ever seen written on something in WCW before, and speaks to a number of the people that were taking part in the match. And that was something that was written on the hood of a car saying "Number 1 Boomer."
Jesus,
brilliant, absolutely brilliant. And in this junkyard match, you have to, they let us know that the rules are going to be, you have to climb the fence to win, whether you have the lemon tree with you or not. You have to get over that fence and you're done. We open up with a true Matt classic. What a way to welcome Lee back to the show. Then the Cat with Sonny Ono versus the Disco Inferno. And really, Lee, you've missed some of the rise to prominence of the Cat. And by prominence, I mean he's just all over the TV and no more over than he was.
Well, I mean, that continues right through the death of WCW.
Oh, good Lord, it does.
Yeah, so
it's kind of better when he's the commissioner. He's not really wrestling.
Well, this angle doesn't get paid off till what? Next January? I think it is.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
You've got 6 more months of this?
Yeah, the James Brown appearance that they do not advertise is...
Yeah. Also, do the math. We do a show every 2 weeks. We've got 12 more months of this.
Welcome back, Lee.
Actually, now that I look at my calendar, I might be off.
No, I locked the door as soon as he came in.
Yeah, the Cat Man. Yeah.
Now, if his gimmick was the Cat Man, like Mac in It's Always Sunny, when he's the Night Man. Yes.
The Cat Man, another one of Brad Armstrong's gimmicks.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Or Jack Victories, he seems to be under 1,000 masks.
This this match fucking sucked.
Can we talk about how they basically did a here's what you could have won on the way down and told us, oh, this match originally did have a stip.
Yeah.
And now it doesn't.
The original stip was the loser can't dance anymore. And then somebody in the back went, but what do we do with disco if you can't dance?
They obviously immediately realized they booked themselves into a corner. Like, it's like if you take dancing away from either of these men, they've got nothing. I'd argue like they don't have anything anyway.
I thought it was like a mafia thing. Like they keep the stip, and to make sure he couldn't dance, someone would come out with a sledgehammer to the kneecap.
Was this something they mentioned on Nitro, the dancing thing?
Nope.
Okay, so this was clearly devised between Thunder and the pay-per-view.
So, I
gotta believe
it was mentioned on Saturday night.
Okay.
Oh my God.
And on the main event pre-show. So it had been a stip for 24 hours, and then they got rid of it.
Oh, perfect. So there's a chance that like 99.9% of people watching this would have had no idea that there was going to be a stip at any stage.
And that includes all three of us.
Yeah.
I gotta believe this is a stip they tried to do before with disco, because they absolutely had to have done like an Alex Wright can't dance anymore stip.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
probably.
it. You missed the revelation that Berlin has debuted and undebuted in the last month. Were you gone for that, Lee?
Yep.
Yeah. That's fun. We'll see him again though for his actual debut when it's not the worst time debut in maybe the history of professional wrestling. There was the cat. Oh, his promo here before we start the crap match, Lee. I know you were getting ready to lay into it, but I love that the cat is trying to act tough and do his promo about how you whoop out anybody's ass, and there's one either woman or child screaming at the top of their lungs, "The cat is crap," so loudly that it's picked up on the microphone. And Randy Anderson looked like he might fall asleep. This is the opening contest.
I think the most interesting part about the start of this is that the cat's entrance team is dubbed over for his entrance.
Yeah.
But then when he dances, they play his entrance team.
Yeah.
The production intern just got the note, look, double the entrances.
There's again,
Didn't
like
they?
that overworked intern we've talked about in Stanford before. Like he's definitely doing a right, dub it at the start, fast forward to where I can see a pinfall on the bar, and then like that's it. It's not my fault if the music breaks out again, because he does declare a dance off at the start of this, which like I momentarily groaned at, but then I was like, actually, if they do a dance off, it'll be over quicker. So I was kind of okay with it. And then it broke out into a match. So it was the worst of both worlds.
Before we get into the quote unquote action, can I take a moment for Disco Inferno's outfit? Disco Inferno, the walking green screen you could shoot a fucking Marvel movie in front of.
Yeah. Good Lord. This feels like if you get like, I suppose with the network version, it's a high enough like upscaling that you probably could project some stuff onto it for fun. But not talent. You couldn't project talent onto it, that's for sure.
Somebody needs to project a Stardom match onto his tights.
You know the way people are trying to get a copyright suit going with Twitter, like you could post like an entire John Wick movie on Disco Inferno.
Actually, I watched the first John Wick movie in the past 2 weeks.
Wait, you'd never seen it before?
I've never seen a John Wick movie up until recently.
And your life is different now?
It's totally changed.
Yeah. Great franchise. Apart from I don't like 3.
I don't like 2.
You don't like 2?
I don't like 2, no. Because once you see the patterns of the fights, you can't unsee it. They all go exactly the same. And
that's what somebody said to me. I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, "Oh, what's John Wick tonight?" And you're like, "Yeah, they're good, but they're all the same."
They live within a certain narrow universe, let's say. I thought we'd get a Dave, it's happened again. It's turned into a movie podcast.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. I'd rather that than talk about this match.
I thought number 4 was excellent, though.
Yeah,
really,
I love number 4.
It's the most beautiful action movie I've ever seen. Some of like the framing and cinematography.
And it's just even for a John Wick movie, it's excessive.
Yeah,
and that was my argument with the cast co-host. They were like, "Oh, it's a bit too long," and I was like, "No, that's the point. Everything is excess in this movie. It should be too long."
I didn't notice the length, but I did need to go and have a piss in the middle.
Yeah, I think there was two. I was talking. There was two fights in it that, like, I think went on maybe a minute too long. There was like the one early. There's like one at the end of Act 1, and then there's the one on the steps as well. It goes on like one turn, or like one round too much, should we say?
Yeah.
But I won't spoil it on Lee here. John Wick kills a bunch of dudes. Shocker. Anyway, they do their dance off, and the very funny thing that we've both alluded to, or we've all alluded to here, is that for two men that were given dancing gimmicks, neither man can really dance.
So I think Disco's supposed to be the baby face here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
that was my question.
Face.
Right. So on in the recap video beforehand, they show their previous dance off from Nitro, or a Nitro.
Mm.
And Schiavone, the babyface commentator, when Disco starts dancing, goes, well, he's not really dancing, he's just sort of wiggling his hips around a bit.
Yeah. I think that's like, he's supposed to be sort of a babyface now, but also no one likes him.
Yeah. And I think that extends to the crew.
Yeah. Cat looks genuinely awful doing his dancing. And Disco, I suppose technically what he's doing is less, like, it's less shit, but it's also he's doing less, and it's an even more dated dance. So it's
a dance from 20 years ago.
Yeah. So it is bad. The Cat tries to sneak attack him during his dance. Disco ducks, and we have a match, sadly. Disco stomps on Cat's hat, whips the Cat into the corner, but he baseball slides outside. Pair of atomic drops from Disco. Cat is down, cover, kick out. Cat gets some bad offense in. He chokes Disco with his hands and then his feet. Gets broken up. He throws Disco out of the ring. Sonny does his usual, getting the brogues in. Cat hits a low blow, and the ref is just fine with it. We have long since become unmoored from a consistency in rules, and there are so many like blatant disqualifications on this show.
This show up and down. Oh my god.
It's not the show, it's the whole company.
Yeah.
I bet.
The rules, the concept of a legal man in a tag match, it's all gone. It's long gone, and it's not coming back. There was a moment during the 8-man later, which is one of the moments where I prayed for the sweet release of the void to come take me. Where like Tony and Brain are like, he's not the legal man. No, he is. I don't know. Like they genuinely
they don't keep track.
Yeah. And well, look, if the wrestlers aren't, why should they? You know. So Sonny boots him a bunch outside, hits the low blow. Ref is fine with it. Stomps in the corner. Tony, like promise or threat, hypes up that Bash at the Beach is an unpredictable pay-per-view. Which I find quite ironic during this match that looked like it was going to be bad and turned out to be bad.
He was trying to allude to it being like, this is where the NWO debuted like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But it's like...
You shouldn't be opening your show by making those comparisons and go, wow, who's going to debut on this show? Flyboy Rocco Rock.
In WCW, unpredictable does not always mean good.
Yeah.
In fact, frequently.
Because there was a moment where I was like, I don't remember if any of the other big names coming this year debut tonight. Like, what is he setting up for here? Turns out nothing.
I don't know if teasing more NWO in 1999 was a good idea.
Look, Lee, we were astonished to learn on the last Thunder that the black and white still exists. Did you know that they still exist?
I'm pretty sure they still exist when the black and silver start.
Yeah, they still exist, even though, like, if you note later on in the Junkyard match, Horace is in it, and I'm pretty sure he's not wearing NWO gear in it.
He's not.
Yeah, but see, NWO t-shirts wouldn't really work in the Junkyard.
Well, no, they belong in one.
I mean...
But yes, I know, I'll grant you that. The Cat has a chance to cover, but instead he showboats. Disco almost immediately makes a comeback. Near fall, Russian leg sweep, near fall again. Ref gets distracted. You want a show for ref distractions as well. If you love a ref distraction, I've got the pay-per-view for you. Fuck me.
Before we get there, Brain had another great line. So Miller kicks Disco in the face, makes a cover, and Brain goes, Disco's giving it his all. Right there, he just kicked the Cat right in the foot with his teeth.
So Cat tries to get the shoe on, Disco stamps on the shoe, stamps on the toe, clobbers him, but the cat kicks out. And then another thing where like the suspension of disbelief falls apart is that Sonny stopped distracting the ref as soon as Disco made the cover on Cat.
Yes.
Which is surely the moment to ramp up the distraction. But anyway, Sonny then throws the shoe around the referee on the other side. He distracts the ref again. So multiple ref distraction spots in the same 5-minute match. Disco then hits a last dance over the ropes on him. Then turns into a roundhouse kick from Cat. And that's when I reminded myself that this is the dumbest foreign object spot in wrestling, because his finisher is a roundhouse kick, which is the only soft part of that type of shoe.
Mm-hmm.
It does have a buckle on it, and they are trying to sell that it's loaded. But I have a question about the Cat, right?
Okay.
Why doesn't he just wrestle in an outfit that incorporates the shoes?
Yeah.
Sandman's not wearing wrestling boots under his jeans. The Nasty
No.
Boys have had their high-tech magnums on for years. Like, so does Billy Kidman.
Also, there are no rules.
Apparently not.
The rules are a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he could come out and he could be wearing the shoes and he could have another pair of shoes on both hands and just spin in a circle like a tornado of shite until he hits Disco.
Every match is like the Bart and Lisa fight.
Perfectly legal, yeah. It's an extension of me. It's not a foreign object.
So I have a question.
Okay.
Is the Cat the worst prominently featured wrestler in all of North America in 1999?
I mean, when does Naked Midian happen?
I was actually thinking
I would
Midian
argue
as
that
well.
Dennis Knight is a better wrestler, even as Naked Midian.
So one of my early notes was about Miller doing his promo, and I wrote, he's a charismatic boy. I really wish he could wrestle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again,
he's no good.
But he's like so primed to be a much better manager than his own manager. You know, because like, again, I was talking about when he's the commissioner, and like, even though he's kind of like everybody in WCW, all his promos are the same promo. That works in 99. Like, look at Conan. Like, so it wouldn't hold him back from being a manager, and we wouldn't have to see him wrestle if he just like got on the mic and he had somebody who could actually wrestle. But like, this is 99 WCW, so they would almost certainly put him with like Prince Ikea or something.
I was excited, as long as it's not a straight swap and he's the manager and Sonny is the wrestler.
Yeah. Oh.
I was just going to say,
you know, at this stage,
matches would get even worse.
At this stage, I might roll the dice.
I was going to say, instead they make Disco the manager
Like,
by the end of the year.
You say they can't possibly get worse. I don't know, can they? We could see. But yes, this was bad. The crowd did not give a shit, which would be a continuing trend throughout the evening.
It is, however, not the worst match on this show.
No.
Shockingly.
No. I would sooner go back to this than the middle two matches on this show. That like are the closest I've come in quite some time to quitting this very show. We see Mills Lane with Mark Madden. There's a combo. He said he doesn't hate Piper. He's going to cut the guys a little slack, but not a lot of slack. So he's fair. And I just love that, like, this guy is coming in and presumably being paid quite handsomely by WCW because Lord knows they love to burn a dollar. But like, I would think that, you know, you've got a guy with some celebrity coming in. You want to keep him on side. You want to keep him nice. And Madden, like, within 5 seconds is mentioning, hey, didn't you let Mike Tyson bite Evander Holyfield's ear off? Like, holy fuck, Mark Madden. Like, you just went in. Like,
it's not doing him any, like, not giving him any credit or credibility as a referee, is it?
Yeah, but you know what it is? It's like knowing the person Mark Madden would later reveal himself to be, because he's still the internet location geek at this point. Like, he was clearly like fancying himself an investigative report. He's gonna ask the hard questions here. Like, this, like, Mark Madden, in terms of like his like approach to broadcast journalism, is a substantially less talented Piers Morgan. Is how he, and think about that. Like, that's not me saying Piers Morgan is talented. Don't get it wrong.
I haven't seen a lot of this period of WCW, so I get him and Scott Hudson mixed up. I apologize to Scott Hudson.
So that's
unfortunate.
Have you never seen like him during the year where he's on commentary trying to get himself over? And
Sparingly.
Yeah, gets himself tries to get himself over with the nickname of TV's best looking big man.
Oh God.
Wearing his Hawaiian shirts. But then, like, at least mercifully, there's one Nitro where Tank Abbott beats the shit out of him and he fucking stiffs that prick. It's good shit.
Dave, you need to choose your words wisely.
Yeah, stiffs that prick. Oh, I miss Mike Enos, don't you?
Oh man.
Anyway, flashback to Van Hammer beating Disco Inferno, the first family attacking him, Flair banning hardcore, the whole thing we've seen.
Flair banning hardcore twice in the same segment. He bans it, reinstates it for Van Hammer to hit Hugh Morris with a table, and then bans it again immediately afterwards.
Yeah. Gives Van Hammer the ban hammer.
I have a quick question about the video packages. I was watching this on a VHS rip, obviously. On the network, do they all have a filter that makes them look 5% out of focus?
Yeah, fair few of them do.
Oh,
like they put on
that's a WCW production thing.
The
Gave me a
WCW
fucking
production,
headache.
the WCW production trope is to do like random After Effects.
Yeah,
They'd obviously stumped up for some sort of software that had all these, and it's like we need to justify in the budget why we got these. So
I think Premiere Pro 1.0 had come out at this point.
Yeah, we need to hit a different After Effect every video package to go, look, boss, it was worth it, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Our next match, God Almighty, Rick Steiner versus Van Hammer for the World Television title. Rick wants to let us know in as much of a 2-sentence promo that he somehow gets lost during, that him and Scott are just going to do what they want. That's the summation of it all. Him and Scott are going to do what they want. Bear in mind that Scott is on the shelf at this point and no one has mentioned it.
He says himself and Big Papa Pump and the dog face gremlin are going to do what they want.
Yeah. The DFG, as he's calling himself now. Lee, where do you stand on? We were batting this back and forward last week on Days of Thunder. Scott Steiner is out for the whole summer now.
Oh, yes.
And he is the reigning martial arts division champion. And we were trying to argue last week. It's like, last time Continuity Malone made this ruling, it was for Wrath. And you immediately stripped him.
Yes.
Of the title. And we were leaning towards that. But the thing that made me worry is that poor old friend of the show, Kim Geist, who did the meticulous history of the martial arts division going forward to present day, this might entirely fuck up the timeline. So I was uncomfortable making the decision. Where did you fell down on the strip him of the title, Kieran? Did you?
Oh, I boldly put it on David Flair.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, I wasn't going that far.
So the US title was stripped from Scott Steiner and given to David Flair. And surely, if you're doing that with that title, the other title that Scott Steiner holds has to go the same way, right?
And you did allude to the fact that when David Flair loses, it's interesting where it goes after that.
Well, I don't know if it's interesting. I want to see like if the timelines then reconverge, because I haven't seen Kim's timeline and I don't know what happens to David Flair.
Yeah, I didn't want to look the timeline back up and have it sway our decision, but I'm thankful that continuity, because I felt like if it was you and me again, we'd have to make the decision between ourselves, but we can just shirk that responsibility now to Lee.
Yeah.
Lee, what do you think? What's the gut instinct of Continuity Malone on this?
I mean, Kim put a lot of work into doing the list.
Do you want to go back and see if you can find Kim's list and let Kim make the decision? Okay, so then you're stuck with it.
No,
I thought this was ramping up to you being incredibly generous.
No, I was going to say, like, Kim put a lot of work into it, and I'm amazed at just the level that somebody would go to for something we made up. So with that in mind, I'm definitely going to strip Scott Steiner the title.
Now, are you going to go the extra step Kieran did, award it to David Flair, or are you going to go and just
what happens to it
hold
if it
hold it
Scott Steiner and doesn't go on David Flair?
Yeah, are you going to hold it in abeyance until a sufficiently martial arts division match happens?
I think that's the best solution.
Yeah.
I think at the next pay-per-view, we will select a match on the Thunder before the show where we
watched it
to be the
before we've watched it to decide that match will be for the vacant martial arts division title.
Okay.
Can I, in the spirit of like WCW authority figures, can I add a third option?
Go for it.
You and I, as co-chairman, have stripped Scott Steiner and given it to David Flair, but then the big boss has come back, president has come back and stripped it off David Flair and put it up for grabs.
It's a very WCW
hang on, this is the second time I've been alluded to as Eric Bischoff tonight. I don't like this.
Long may it continue.
Next, I'll have fucking John Albert in my DMs.
Tony is trying to convince us that Van Hammer is one of the hottest stars in WCW. While in the midst,
1991,
while in the midst of coming out to fucking crickets.
Mark Hildreth is exactly 4 months to the day shy of turning 40 here, and has wrestled almost exclusively for WCW since 1991. And he is a hot young rising star.
One of my favorite things is when commentators refer to nearly 40-year-old men as young guys
who haven't been off TV at all.
Yeah.
Dolph Ziggler, hot young guy.
It's fucking good shit. Somebody definitely referred to Bobby Roode as that during like his NXT run.
The famous one is it Gorilla Monsoon
Carlos
calling
Colon.
Carlos Colon a young man? Yeah, and he's like 47.
It was either Jim Ross or McMahon as he's making his Rumble entrance. The hot youngster Carlos Colon.
Yes.
Fucking scarred up forehead.
Yeah.
Look at older father time.
Looking like he's punched his way out of his own coffin to get into the match.
The crowd are not good so far, I wrote, but to their credit, what did they have to cheer?
Yeah.
Steiner goes out early. Hammer tries to jump him on the way back into the ring, hits a suplex for a count of 1 because Rick Steiner don't play that shit. Rick gets Hammer on the ground, choking him and just clawing at his face really nastily. Then in the ropes, Rick gets mad at the ref because you're not allowed pin outside the ring. That's one of my favorite things. It's like, there's no rules here. Why are there rules now? Rick gets low blowed again. Referee's cool with that part.
We should say even Tony Schiavone at this point goes, we're 2 for 2 tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Tony's just calling it. So there's a thing now on this show I noticed where Tony is just blatantly calling that kind of stuff out, but not in a way like this is terrible, WCW is terrible, but read between the lines, that's what he's saying. And now Brain goes the other way, where Brain very sarcastically says he enjoys things that are bad.
Yeah.
So like for the last 3 or 4 minutes maybe of the Junkyard match, he just keeps going, this is great. Love it. Rick only gets phased by the low blow for a bit because he has a titanium dick, as we all know. I then wrote, boring. Rick hits another low blow.
It's not so much a low blow as he literally just punts Van Hammer in the dick.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the shoot punch to the face as well on Van Hammer.
Yeah.
Like Rick's fighting his way out of the corner and he does so by just socking him right in the jaw.
Just fucking wailing on this dude.
I also very much enjoyed Van Hammer's only moment of respite and revenge where he gets thrown outside and Rick comes after him and Hammer picks up David Penza's heavy padded chair and makes sure to turn it around so he whacks Rick in the head with the metal side and not the padded side, leaving a nice big greasy mark on the bottom of the chair.
We get a couple of punches. Rick goes up top, hits the Bulldog, win. Van Hammer's 1 month push stopped fucking dead.
Yeah.
I wonder next month, will he be in favor or against peace? Tune in to find out.
I think he'll be in favor of jobs elsewhere.
Tenay is at the Junkyard in his Hawaiian shirt for the reveal of a god awful trophy.
Held by a referee who looked like he'd rather be anywhere else.
Probably because he'd rather be anywhere else. Like, I imagine having to be associated with this match, associated with this trophy, outside under the noise of that chopper, and also in July Florida humidity.
They do mention that on commentary, how like Brain mentions, the building's air conditioned and it might be nighttime outside, but it's still Florida and it's going to be fucking horrible in that junkyard.
Yeah, god damn it. We then get a quick clip of I can't remember the context of this sentence. A quick clip of Ric Flair instructing women to molest his son.
This is
I believe his line was, when I was running around, there was one or two a night. Now you have something like there's no limits to what you can have, or something like that.
yes, and he sets 11 women on his own son. Yeah. He's trying, bless him. This is from the stripping of the title and handing it over to
I'm
Dave.
glad it was just the title that was stripped.
Yes, me too.
Yeah, Jesus.
Well, he threatened, there were all sorts of things threatened with Roddy Piper's kilt on Thunder. So
yeah, there were, sadly. We then have the WCW United States Heavyweight title. Remember when that was a thing that like was on Good Wrestlers?
Remember that awesome DDP Chris Benoit Ravenfield?
Yeah, with Canyon thrown in there as well for good measure. This is David Flair with a small army of people: Arn Anderson, Asia, Charles Robinson, Ric Flair, and Tori Wilson versus Dean Malenko. And this is the thing, right? So we've had Tori was with Nash for like 5 minutes and then was not with Nash anymore. And now she's just back associated with David Flair again. But they're not, there's no acknowledgement whatsoever that she had been called Samantha when she was associated with David Flair until like 2 months ago.
When she was working for the NWO.
Yes.
So if he's going to be Continuity Malone, I'm going to be Context LaForte.
Okay, go for it.
So there was a match on Nitro, which was Kevin Nash versus David Flair. And the stip was, it was a lumberjack match, and it was the world title versus possession of Tori Wilson for 72 hours. Officially, it went to a no contest, and Nash stole Gorgeous George, and Tori walked out with him.
Oh, we all remember that.
Yep. Then there was Nash and Savage, the movie. Remember? Yep.
Lee, did you see any of those skits?
I only saw the intro video for the main event, so unless it was involved in that.
So you missed the hostage situation where Gorgeous George had been kidnapped, and they did scenes of Nash and Savage acting over the phone to one another as Nash was sending Savage to different locations around town for the conditioned surrender of the hostage.
It's this where we get the famous Botchamania Send for the Man clip.
We did get that on Nitro this past week. Send for the Man finally happened.
The movie on Thunder is I'll be there, but I don't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
And then he doesn't get an answer. So George is supposedly handed back or kidnapped back by Savage and Sid. They drive with her for a while, pull the blanket off, and reveal it's actually Tori Wilson.
Yeah, they did a bait
who
switch.
then magically appears by David Flair's side on this show. Like, unless it was on Saturday night or fucking worldwide, there is no explanation as why she's now part of this goof troop.
Which, I mean, look, we've learned from the dancing stipulation that, you know, worldwide and Saturday night is where the important shit happens. We need to be cutting out these thunders. God damn it.
David Flair looks like a child who has won a competition to do a Ric Flair entrance on TV.
Yeah. Like, it's so funny that Charles Robinson is a way more believable Ric Flair than Ric Flair's son. Like,
there's also the possibility that Charles Robinson is in fact Ric Flair's son.
Look, I wouldn't bet against it, but gormless idiot David Flair is not it. Especially in his tiny leather shorts.
I was just gonna say David Flair in his pleather bicycle shorts is not what I envisaged.
Yeah, it accentuates his lack of physique.
Once the robe came off, he looked like he was dressing as Okada for Halloween because he's long and thin. He's got those tight little bicycle shorts on, and he's got the bleach blonde hair.
He looks like you could lawn dart him through a keyhole. Like, no problem.
Runs around in the shower to get wet.
Pass through the fucking eye of a needle, this guy.
Yeah.
Jesus. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I don't like, I know it's a body business. I'm not a body guy, but like, why give him gear that accentuates that he's not a body guy? I don't get it. I really don't. Like, that's the tiny shorts are the guys you give like the fucking Batistas and shit like that. They're fucking rippling their muscles have muscles guys. Not fucking gormless idiot David Flair. You should be putting him in like a fucking morph suit. Anyway, Dean just like again, my favorite trope of this storyline is that Ric Flair doesn't really like his son that much. He's doing all this for him, but he still, I believe, out of a sense of satisfaction, will let the other guy beat the dog shit out of him for about 3 or 4 minutes before they execute their plan.
I love like Tony on commentary. He's just like, David Flair, US champ, who is being most unimpressive in all of his bouts.
That's the thing is like, even if your thing is like, right, Flair is doing this in storyline to get David Flair over, and like in a company full of people without broken brains, you'd be doing it in a way that gives him enormous heel heat, you know? But like even the commentators in kayfabe are like, this guy's shit. Like he's not worth your time. Like he's no threat to anybody.
The fun part is Tony actually says he's been most unimpressive in all of his title defenses. He's had 2, and one of them hasn't aired yet.
Oh, it was on the taped Thunder.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
I did like, so 2 things. I liked how Dean Malenko was another of Tony's hot young rising stars. He will be 39 in less than a month.
Yeah. And not only that, but looks 49.
Yeah. And they start with the lockup. Malenko backtrips Flair out of it, and then looks at Rick and gestures to Dave like, "How the fuck is this yours?"
Yeah. Dean's putting a beating on the guy. Flair's enraged. After Dean hits a suplex, Flair comes in and gets dropped on the mat straight away.
Yep.
Cloverleaf is locked in. God, I love the Texas Cloverleaf. I'm actually delighted that Tony Storm has started doing it now.
She has, yes.
So that's good. The Texas Cloverleaf should always be a prominent thing in wrestling. I love it. Dean gets clocked with the belt by Flair. David dragged on top and wins. And my 1-word summation for this at the end of my notes: dog shit.
You missed, as they did, Arn Anderson coming into the ring and the director missing him giving the referee a spine buster.
Yeah, Tony calls the spine buster, which I honestly would have preferred if he didn't, because then I wouldn't know what I missed.
Yes.
Probably the most competently executed move in the whole match, and I really mean that as no disrespect, Dean. But that's just the way it is, unfortunately. We then get a brief oasis, which is a Rap is Crap video package, or the Rap is Cap recap, as I call it. Say that 10 times fast. That is, I'm pretty sure, longer than every match so far on the show.
It might well be. May I read to you? So I was looking up. I've seen and heard Rap is Crap quite a lot over the last couple of weeks for various reasons, and for one reason, this show. And I was like, is it Kurt Hennig singing? Like, he is credited on Wikipedia as doing vocals on this song. So I did some digging and I was trying to find out, and I found the West Texas Rednecks Wikipedia.
Okay.
The group was originally called the West Texas Outlaws, with West Texas Rednecks intended as an insult. The popularity of the new name, however, combined with the commentators almost never using the stable's original name, results in the group's name being changed. Far be it from me to ruin the future for you, but Virgil joins them soon as Curly Bill. This is important when I get to the end. Mm-hmm. This is the bit that got me. After their release from WCW, the West Texas Rednecks found work in All Japan Pro Wrestling, but finishing second in World's Strongest Tag League that year. Yep. Upon debuting in All Japan, the West Texas Rednecks consisted of Barry Windham and Kendall Windham. The stable, so not the stable, it's just the Windham brothers. Yeah. They used the same Rap is Crap theme song and gimmick and wore the same shirts, but updated them to say World Tour 2000.
Great stuff.
There is 3 sentences here that blew my mind in succession. Kurt Hennig would reunite with the group at the January 28th, 2001 Tokyo Dome pay-per-view. This pay-per-view would mark their final television appearance before they quietly disappeared. And then the one that got me, Curly Bill didn't wrestle in Japan during this phase of the stable's career.
I'm shocked by that. Lee, one thing I'm really sad about that you missed is like pretty much when you left was exactly when the West Texas Rednecks gimmick turned a corner.
Took off, yeah.
Like when it went from being, oh, this is like real bad and like generously could have said racially insensitive to being the best comedy shtick. this company are doing the last I don't know how many months. It has been fabulous. What did you think? Because I think this like extremely long video package gave a pretty decent recap of the hijinks they've been up to.
Look, this was this was probably like the highlight of the show so far. Like this video package.
Yeah, not the match. We need
not
to
the match.
state
Oh God, no,
categorically not the match.
It makes for a good video package to feud because you don't have to see Conan wrestle. But yeah, I'm sad I missed it, but I'm also glad I missed it in one way.
Yeah, I mean, you had to wade through an awful lot of crap to get to this.
There was a cake angle. I fucking hate a cake angle.
I don't know who it was that hit Kurt Hennig with that cake, but he fucking laid it in.
Yeah,
Hennig had no choice but to bump for that.
Where do you stand on actually in the great pantheon of well-worn wrestling tropes? So cake spots are at the bottom. Where do you guys stand on I suppose the other two that I would think of automatically are wedding skits and dude gets thrown in the water skits? Because like dude gets thrown in the water skits, Hall of Fame level recurring wrestling bit to me. There has never been an angle where guys fight to the outside and someone gets thrown in a river or a lake that I don't love.
I'm always up for somebody getting thrown in a river, or a lake, or a pool, or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
Weddings amazingly always draw. They
Yeah.
do fucking great numbers, whether it's live or fucking on TV. They always do good numbers. Cake angles are so over fucking done and just.
Do you remember the couple of years where like SmackDown had a Thanksgiving food fight that popped a rating, and then they just kept trying to do the food fight bit?
But wasn't it because it was just all the women in not wearing very much throwing stuff at each other?
I think that's the way. The original one was just like, I think they did an in-ring party, and it was like just members of the roster just fucking food at each other, like. Yeah, and then we would later on, like during the SmackDown 6 era, we got like the gravy bowl match and shit like that.
Yeah, but it wasn't like Edge versus Rey Mysterio Jr.
Yeah,
gravy bowl match.
I'll tell you what though. I would be down for someone attempting to have a 4-star gravy bowl match. Cody Khan, you know what you have to do. That should be the Punkers' big first match back, by the way.
Oh, Jesus. I loved when the video package ended and you go to a live shot of Penzer in the ring about to start doing the ring introductions, and you just very clearly hear some fans going, "Rap is crap," like just right on fucking camera.
That's one of the things that really turned this around for me, is the growing number of people unironically into the rap is crap thing. They're not into it as a bit.
No, they are into
it. They are massive baby faces to these people.
Well, I mean, we saw the bit where they ran them off from the DJ set, and Master P tried to do the hootie hoo thing.
Yeah,
and nobody was into it.
I meant to say, so we're 3 matches deep, and something I've been doing on the pay-per-views, the last couple of pay-per-views, is giving the Observer ratings.
I also have those open.
Yeah, so Disco versus the Cat, 0.5 star. World TV title match, dud. Shocker of shockers, WCW United States title match, -1 star. Might this be the only -1 star match Dean Malenko ever had?
So there's a line in the middle of the review that says Malenko actually did probably the best job of his career in carrying this to a negative star match.
You know,
I love
look, he's got so many problems, and I like the star inflation thing, etc., whatever you say about Dave nowadays. Catty 80s and 90s Dave, when he's just rising to be a bitch about something, incredible.
I love that every match starts at 0 stars, just starts even, starts flat, and Dave still feels David Flair had to be carried to a -1 star.
I feel like so there was a few years ago on, I think it was Voices of Wrestling, wasn't it, that our friend Mark Robinson did a career retrospective of Shane McMahon matches. Like, because the old the way, like the whole thing about Shane McMahon, people always said, like, if Shane McMahon had gotten training at the right age, like he might have been half decent, because he over delivered for what he should have for a long time in some of his matches. Would somebody ever be brave enough to take on the David Flair gauntlet? Just do a succession of his most prominent matches and review them for the history books.
You shouldn't put that kind of evil out into the universe.
I will.
How desperate does the Patreon have to get before you turn to that?
At least a little bit more. Like, I'm not going to lie and say that in terms of quality, it's tremendously far off the stuff we already covered.
The next time AEW run London, if we need to get tickets.
Yeah, we're not above it. The David Flair tier coming soon to alargemanappears.com.
A gormless man appears.
But yeah, it's been, so there's only there's 2 matches that get above 1 star. And bizarrely, this next match is one of them. Because Jesus Christ, I hated this match. This is the elimination 8-man tag team match. The No Limit Soldiers, B.A. Conan, Rey Mysterio Jr., and Swole with Chase, and the largest man I've ever... I wrote, the widest man appears.
Yeah.
A man named 4x4 based on his area in meters, I imagine.
He looks like if you put a head on SpongeBob.
Yeah.
He looks like a cartoon character has swallowed a chest freezer the long way. And he's wearing a halter top, so he's got more tit on display than Tori and Asia combined in the last match.
He looks like a pumpkin sitting on a fridge.
Yeah,
like exactly. That's holy shit. Like it's a little square and then a huge square. It's his body. Yeah. It's like a child could draw it from memory.
I loved how taken aback Bobby was by this. He's like, his name is 4x4. It should be 8x8.
Yeah, actually, yes. I've just hit about it. Like he is like 4x4 is what happens, and maybe this is where the name comes from. When you ask a 4-year-old to draw a picture of a robot, that's the exact proportions of the man. Little square for the head, a huge square for the body.
I said last time out. I think I said last time out that he looked like a transformer that had just transformed from a 4x4 into its robot shape before walking through the curtain.
There was a moment in the match because like they announce before the match starts that if you get eliminated, you have to go to the locker room. And immediately when the first person is eliminated, they try to violate that rule and stay out there. But genius to have 4x4 out there who blocks the entire width of the entrance ramp. So it's literally impossible to hit the ring again.
Can I ask?
I haven't even said who the other people in the match are. That was just the No Limit Soldiers, but they're against the West Texas Rednecks of Barry Windham, Big Bob Cum, Kurt Hennig, and Kendall Windham.
Can I ask, did they explain why this needed to be an elimination match?
No.
They're going to say, did they explain
Justice.
Why Brad Armstrong is in the No Limit Soldiers?
That was the follow-up question.
I don't think they ever did because I just noticed he was with them one week. I was in the middle of writing, who is their dad? And then I realized who it was.
Because the team desperately needed someone who could work, and he was floating around doing nothing because it's Brad Armstrong in WCW.
Yeah. Is there any Armstrongs left in this company? Let's fucking put this guy with him.
I also like Bobby, who was like, you see the way this team dresses? You can avoid all that if you put a light in your closet.
The kind of like you guys had said, as well as singing, there's a couple of people that have rap is crap signs, which is incredible. Conan and Ray do promo by numbers. Barry and Ray start off. What would you say?
Am I the only one that noticed that Conan's little spiel is starting to be less and less over already?
Yeah, it was. And like I wasn't, because this crowd has been so bad so far, I was willing to give him the benefit of the doubt and go, maybe it's just because they've been killed to death by 3 horrible matches. That's just hard for them.
Fair.
But then later on in the show, I guess there's one match they get quite a bit more animated for by the standards of tonight. But we'll talk about that when we get to it. Barry and Ray start off. Barry gets a few shots in. You guys, at a certain point in this match, and you'll know when it happens because the details of my notes get more vague as I start to slowly lose the will to live.
Your notes get more Vader.
Yeah, they do. Yes, because I won't turn to the fucking dark side in the middle of this match. I'll like burn this entire podcast to the ground. Why the fuck am I doing this? This was like I was working a 6-day week this week, and I was like, I came home from my company's AGM at 10:30 last night, and this was the first match I had to watch. I hadn't eaten, hadn't slept well the previous night because it's hotter than the fucking surface of the sun here. Oh, anyway, you'll see when I start to fade in this match, and you guys please hop in if you have any thoughts. I doubt there will be many transcendent thoughts about the quality of the mat work, but however. Barry gets a few shots in, but then the difference in speed and sharpness with Ray shows. He hits a quick moonsault off the top. Hennig comes in to bully Ray around, who tags out to BA very quickly. BA having a whale of a time, having a pay-per-view match. Can't believe his own luck. He's dancing around every time he like just throws a punch or does a move.
An extra $50 on the check.
Absolutely fucking stealing a living, even if it is a hot dog and a handshake living. Big Bob comes in then. Swole versus Bobby is the next matchup. And I don't know who fucking went, yeah, do you know what? Who agented this shit? Where it's like, those are the two we need to put together.
So Brain says as Swole comes in, let's see what he's got. And apparently what he's got is a punch and a weird open-handed clothesline that he does over and over again in this match.
The directive, as we talked about, Kieran, last time, the directive is very much get this guy over, like on commentary and with the wrestlers. It's like they really want to preserve this relationship with Master P. Like an actual honest to God celebrity is enthusiastic about helping them in 1999, so they are going to try and leech anything they can.
Master P is a big wrestling fan. Like he is the money behind Amazing Red's House of Glory promotion
still
in
to
New
this
York.
day.
Oh
Oh,
Factoid.
Bankrolls that.
I wonder where he's like, cause but just based on, we talked about it, Lee, when he showed up, was like, this is a very smart businessman. Like with the how far his tentacles spread, like he very much capitalized on his fame to get his finger in as many pies as possible to maximize those earnings. Seems very much like a guy who would still be, even if he's not on the public eye, making plenty of coin nowadays.
I bet there's Master P NFTs out there somewhere if you look.
100%. There's probably something.
Gabe Sapolsky probably selling.
You know what? There's probably something that like you know of, that you hear of all the time, that you don't know Master P is a majority investor.
Yeah,
that's what it feels like.
House of Glory.
yeah. No, I said something massive.
I'm recently back from New York, and I went to one of their shows.
Yeah,
and it was good. Like it was pretty good. Like
did you give a hootie hoo at any point to see it?
I did not. The man himself was not in the building, but like
was low key.
No, there was like 800, 900 people in there.
Wow. Okay.
Like we got Motor City Machine Guns. Main event was Jacob Fatu versus not Dolph Ziggler, the other one.
Nick Nemeth. Or Ryan Nemeth.
No. Fuck. Zack Ryder. There we go.
The other one.
Other one, not Dolph Ziggler.
They look roughly the same. One's got brown hair, one's got blonde hair.
Matt Cardona.
Matt Cardona, yeah. It was a fun old time.
If it was that other fucking hack, I would
what, the Sandman?
No.
He's coming up like
Brian Myers.
Brian Myers.
No, he
piece of shit.
I didn't realize you had beef with Brian Myers.
Have you not heard the Brian Myers monologue this guy did a few months ago? This is like, Lee works for his Brian Myers burials as if the title of #1 Brian Myers hater is a hard thing to get. As if he musters up enough passion to have many haters.
To spare everybody else, I would just go back and listen. So you don't have to do it again.
Yeah, but it was just, you'll hear it, because I have a moment where I'm just like, I brought up the infamous Styles Clash botch. And I was like, oh, I felt bad for him because people really got his case. And all of a sudden, this other dude here fucking tease off on him for about 5 minutes. Like I just uncovered like he'd shot Lee's dog or something.
I don't know. Look, I don't know where it came from, but you know, fuck that guy.
He obviously had a bad day in work. Somebody.
I probably had to watch a Brian Myers match.
Did you get like pickpocketed by a guy with a sparkly cane or something? And it's just.
the Prince of fucking Queens or whatever the fuck he called himself.
Were you like a massive King of Queens fan? And when he like took on that nickname, you're like, ah, fuck this.
It's an okay show, I guess. Better than any Brian Myers match.
The whole career of the man gone again. Anyway, where even were we? Oh yeah,
I like how we're doing everything possible to avoid talking about this match.
But it's like, this is the thing about this match, guys. Like, it's baby's first 8-man tag. It's so funny that like over in the other company, like WWE has for about 3 decades now had a reputation, not all the time, but the majority of the time, if there is a 6, 8, 10-man match on TV, it's going to be a bit of a banger. Like, it's not necessarily going to trouble like a 4-star plus. It's not necessarily going to be notebook range, as Joe Lanza would say. But you're going to have a fun time with it, you know? Whereas over here, it's literally just like, I will tag you in and do a move. Then you will tag your man in and he will do a move. And then I will tag my next man in and we will do a move.
This had the air of a match that should have been very carefully planned out. And then some fucking genius just went, we'll call it out there.
I think it was I think it was very carefully planned out, Kieran. But the problem was it was very carefully planned out by a fucking idiot. I don't know who. Maybe Conan. I don't feel like Conan would put in that many effort. I'd feel like he'd get halfway through counting how many men were in the match and go, do you know what, Ray, you got this one, pal. But yeah, so Conan comes in. The crowd do make a little more noise, but it's not, as you say, Lee, it's not as huge a reaction as he has been getting. That's like, right. Oh yeah, boring. And then Swole eliminates Cum.
That's whoa, hold on.
It got very X-rated in the ring for a moment.
Swole hits a legitimately impressive walking slam. He ducks a crossbody. He runs to the heel corner to bop the Wyndhams and then runs back to make the cover. And Bob kicks out late, forcing Patrick to hold up his count. Ray hits Bob with a springboard leg drop and Swole covers again, this time with the worst cover you've ever seen, and gets the pin.
Yeah,
we are now 4-on-3 advantage baby faces.
It was this point I said the match is a mess and it was only going to get worse from here.
Yeah.
I was surprised. Like, not like I'm a big Bob Cum stan, but like I would have thought Kendall Windham is the one that gets pinned first and by Swole.
Yes.
I'm like, there was at least 3 weeks where they tried to do something with Bobby. Whereas Kendall, from the moment he showed up on our TV screens, at least we think he did, because he looks the same and also 10 years older every time we see him. So who's to say it was him? But just there's never been any sort of ambition to do anything with him. I thought, like, there's the guy that can happily eat the pin and is probably just like, he should just be glad he's on a pay-per-view.
See, Dave, you're probably not aware of this, but Kendall Windham has been in WCW since like 1988.
Yep.
Good
and
Lord.
They tried many times to give him a push. And then eventually they just stopped. And then he disappeared. He would like
just
be
randomly started in 1998 again.
Yeah, he'd be on like Saturday night for fucking 4 years straight. And they just brought him back for this.
Horrible. Well, no, to be fair, they didn't bring him back for, like, he's been on TV every few weeks for the whole time we've been doing Thunder.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like, he just pops up. He's gone.
He's now stumbled into being in an act that's over through no fault of his own. So apparently, what we hear from the commentators is that when he got eliminated, Bobby was trying to ignore the stip and come back in immediately, but that absolute shed on the outside of the ring stopped him from getting in. When it gets, what I thought this was bad, this was like really sad. When it gets to Hennig and BA, 2 competent workers, we know like Hennig is washed, right? But like in terms of like this is nowhere near the nightmare combination of who's left in the match. The crowd, it's like a crypt when these guys start to decide to have a razzle for a couple of minutes.
I mean, for good reason. Like Armstrong, it's okay. So Armstrong is working like his brother, but dressed like a Dudley for some reason. Camo pants and sleeveless black shirt.
Yeah. He nearly did the crotch chop again. He did the crotch chop on TV the other week, and he nearly did it again here. You can tell, like, the arms were coming down like he was going to do it, and he stopped himself this time. Yeah. I think he might have gotten a talking to after he did it the first time.
Only Kevin Nash can reference other companies.
Yes.
I think Kurt is legitimately pissed off because, like, Chase and 4x4 beating the shit out of Duncombe in the aisle, and he speeds out of the ring and starts laying some hard shots into Tatum. And then when he comes back in and he does some stuff with Armstrong, they fuck something up. Kendall comes back into the ring for no reason. Hennig can clearly be heard telling Barry to hit BA in the back of the head, which he sort of does on a rope run. And then Kurt loudly goes, shit, and struggles to get him into the Hennig-plex to eliminate him. As Ray Jr. lamely flops over the bottom rope and fails to make the save. That's a fucking disaster.
It's so bad.
And still it gets worse.
Yeah. That's like the theme of this match. 3 words. It gets worse.
Yeah. But there's a moment after this that goes to Kendall versus Conan, and Barry Windham is clearly having to have a word with Kurt in the corner.
Yeah. Which then eventually, the Hennig-plex had eliminated BA. After that horrendous tussle between Kendall and Conan, Kendall gets eliminated.
There's a detail I need to add to this. So Ray hits Kendall in the back with a springboard dropkick, allowing Conan to roll him into the worst inside cradle of all time for the elimination.
So bad.
3-on-2 advantage baby faces, and Ray has had to cheat to help other members of his team do both the eliminations for his team so far.
Yeah. Swole and Ray versus Hennig after Barry and Conan brawl outside and get counted out.
Yeah.
Double count out. At least the double count out meant we were spared 2 more.
Couldn't possibly have
moves.
Conan or Barry Windham appearing on pay-per-view in 1999.
No, they're the 2 that definitely need to be protected here.
No sooner has Windham passed the line separating the mats from the aisle than chases on him like a horny Labrador on a human leg.
Mm-hmm.
He is desperate to beat up any heels that come near him. It's like if you trigger an enemy when you're wandering around an open world in a video game.
I know they're trying to get Swole over, but like Hennig having to sell for Swole to the extent where he has to go outside the ring because he can't deal with Swole's intensity and wrestling acumen, personally offended me. He gets stopped by the wedge of a man when he's trying to bail, goes back in, gets put down again, and then the finish. I suppose the finish looked fine, ish.
Well, it was you get Barry Windham trying to run in.
Oh yeah.
Then fucking Chase fucking chases him in, gets involved for some reason.
Yeah.
All this is going on, and we end up with, I'm pretty sure it's a 2-on-1 attack on Hennig.
Yeah.
Which then leads,
that's a babyface advantage again.
Which leads to Ray doing the splash off Swole's shoulders.
Which is a cool visual. He looks really high up. So that part looked good, but this was just absolutely abysmal match, and it got a 1.5 stars, the second highest rated match on the show.
I can't believe I'm going to say this. I cannot wait for the filthy animals to bury Ric Flair in the desert. It can't be as bad as this.
Could they fucking bury me as well, so I don't have to watch this?
So I have been watching Rey Mysterio Jr. since 1994, and this is easily the worst thing I've ever seen him involved in.
Yeah. Jesus.
There's a line from Dave's review where he says this was, quote, probably the second best match on the show, and then gave it 1.5 stars.
Yeah.
This nearly finished me off, man. This is full on. Thumbs in the armpits, rancid, fetid bin juice of a match.
The 1-2 punch of this and the next match. I just this is a proper killer. I can only imagine what the crowd were like, because they go from being dead for the whole show to having to watch a match on a screen that went on for about 4 months.
I don't even think the Junkyard match is awful. I just think it's impossible to watch.
It's impossible to watch. It doesn't. The best part is and I don't know. You have the actual written review here, but on Pro Fight TV, the Junkyard Invitational doesn't even have a rating from Dave.
So Dave's final line is, it's not fair to rate this because the guys clearly worked really hard and it was largely unwatchable television.
Yeah. So they mused that obviously I don't know if there was a technical issue and they were just stalling for time, or they were waiting to set things up. But the commentators talk for a while about the upcoming Junkyard match. And then there's the cut to Hack calling everybody out again. The WCW After Effects team getting a nice static that definitely looked legitimate, and like they were. I don't know. Like I definitely got the feel like they were trying to capture what Sandman backstage ECW promo looked like with that the static, and the camera is kind of like doing some angular shit, and it's again it's got that grainy effect on it as well. It's like, why are you trying to, like, for a company that Eric Bischoff like would swear on a stack of Bibles he never tried to rip off? Like, very interesting to me that they're still trying to rip off ECW in 1999 and would still continue to poach their guys for quite a while to come. But anyway, I guess we just have to get into it, lads.
Have you ever wanted to barely see Mikey Whipwreck DDT Steve Regal on a car? This is the match for you.
I genuinely think that if we didn't have the notes in front of us and I said to either one of you, name all the participants in this match.
Oh, I can't.
You would miss, minimum, you would miss 3 of them.
I looked it up in the Death of WCW and they list somebody who wasn't even in the match.
Amazing. So what I have here is Hack, Fit Finlay, Horace, Mikey Whipwreck, Steven Regal, Brian Knobbs, Silver King, Rocco Rock, Hugh Morris, Cyclope, Dave Taylor, La Parka, Johnny Grunge, and Jerry Flynn.
Yeah, probably. Let's go with that.
Yeah.
Sounds about right.
So, before we get into, I think do we want to talk about the audio and visual presentation of this match first or last? Because it is a major point of this match.
I think you can't talk about this match without talking about that.
Okay, let's start with that. It is unwatchable and unlistenable. It is. So yeah. The harbinger of how bad this is going to be is, of course, there's not a ring bell. The match starts with a fucking air horn. And because they're obsessed, and WCW have been obsessed with this for years, since Monster Trucks back in the day, of having the aerial shot of action outside. What this means in this match, though, is that there is, we've mentioned already, the deafening roar of helicopter blades through this whole match.
And apparently they didn't put a zoom lens on that camera because it is a constant wide. It doesn't zoom into any part. It is the circle of cars every time you cut to the helicopter.
Do you know what I thought? I thought somebody watched the intro to Raw and went, oh man, we need to do that. You know where they're brawling up on top of Titan Towers with the fucking helicopter going overhead?
Yeah.
And not one of them had the guts to throw Rey Mysterio off a skyscraper. God damn it.
He jumped off his own skyscraper in the last match.
That's true. Yeah. That is very true. And then, like, even though, like, Kieran, you mentioned, like, the wide shot, you just, like, it was just dots running around.
Oh, you can't tell who's who. Like, everybody is in, like, jeans and a t-shirt, apart from Silver King, who stupidly wore his wrestling gear.
Yeah.
My favorite
is
La Parka.
Yes.
The mask.
Mask, gloves, boots, jeans, and a lumberjack shirt. Perfect.
A lumberjack shirt with the sleeves cut off.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am immediately going to go and create him in the first wrestling game I can find in my collection.
Yeah. He should be an unlockable and fight forever. Yeah. That's for
fabulous.
Sure. What's great is, like, so everything goes mad at the very start. What seems to happen is a few of them start fighting, but a few of them just go, do you know what? Like, how often do you get to climb a car?
Yeah.
And it's just like they're in, like, an adventure center or something like that. They just start to climb up. How high can I get? Silver King, this is like skipping a couple of minutes where I'm just like, because it's so dark as well. That's the thing. It's like indecipherable who is wrestling who about half the time in this match.
Any action just seems to involve somebody jumping from one car to another.
Yeah.
Or
that's all you can make out.
Hitting someone with a bumper.
Yeah.
There's, like, the first 2 minutes is me, first half of it trying to figure out what's going on, and the second half just rubbing my temples as I surrender to the fact I will not understand what's going on. And the first actual move I wrote down is Silver King abandoning all reason, attempting a senton onto Knobbs and just eats car with his arse.
Yeah, like Knobbs is on the roof of a van, isn't he? Yeah. And Silver King comes off a stack of cars behind the van.
Now, I would dispute Dave's assertion that all these men were working hard, because by roughly minute 3 of this match, most of them are blown up.
Yeah.
And you go from the looking at aerial dots to when they do the zoom in, it's just lads moving around at walking pace, kind of half-heartedly hitting each other with things.
I should say, like, it takes about 6 minutes in before we actually see Mikey Whipwreck on camera, and all he's doing is just walking through a shop.
Yeah.
Oh, Mikey Whipwreck is here too.
Yeah. I did like, in terms of fits in this match as well, Regal in the casual gym wear of a 1940s strongman. With his, like, I am convinced, right? So he's wearing like clearly Adidas tracksuits that maybe stripper pants with the stripes down the side. And he's wearing like a long sleeve vest, which I was really, the whole time I was praying, is like, somebody's going to pants him and it's going to turn out he's wearing long johns. Please, please let that be the bit. And it wasn't. I was so disappointed.
I gave him a little credit. I thought it was like at least like possibly an England rugby top, but like not only am I watching this in darkness, I'm watching it off a VHS rip.
Yeah. Then I noticed that Jimmy Hart is here, and he both has and is a helmet. He is just standing there in a luminous yellow t-shirt with an enormous helmet on him to protect him from danger.
I'm pretty sure he's wearing a t-shirt that is advertising the Junkyard.
Amazing. And then it was like, I think it was about minute 4 where I was like, not one person in this 1,000-man match has gone within a country mile of the fence, which is how you're supposed to win.
We've been calling it a fence, and they've been calling it a fence. It's a gate.
It's a gate. It's one of those gates with 2 wheels on it.
At least half of the participants could have very easily squeezed through the gap between it and the other gate without needing to climb over anything. Yeah.
And 1 or 2 of them probably could have seen clean over the gate if it was a solid gate. Like, it's not that high up either.
I have a question.
They really, one of the best, like, when we get to the end and the person who wins it climbs over, he does one of the greatest sell jobs of acting like something is high up in the air when it is not I've ever seen. How you take, like, over 30 seconds to scale a fence no higher than a toddler on another toddler's shoulders, I don't know.
Like, you're correct in saying that, like, none of these guys seem able to find the gate.
They don't seem to be interested. No one seems to be looking for the gate.
Maybe they hadn't told them.
Well, how did they get into the junkyard? That's my question.
They were all airlifted in by that fucking
abseiled out of the helicopter.
Maybe it's like the Monsters Ball match, and they've all been in the junkyard for a week, and they've just like got completely disoriented. Oh, they started calling him old Boxcar Finley. He just growls at people when they're bringing in new cars.
Oh, fuck.
So, it's about then that I realized, oh, look, the Public Enemy are back. And they're just like, there's a bit where it's like, Tony's like, is that Flyboy Rocco Rock? It's brilliant because as he's saying that, there's a shot of Rocco Rock where you cannot discern, like, the fucking Patterson film is clearer. Like, it's just this dark shape, this sphere of a humanoid.
Yeah,
like,
but Tony would recognize that 69 on a football shirt anywhere. I love that the Public Enemy would rather work in WCW in this fucking match than go back to ECW and put over the Dudleys.
Yeah.
Well, not for much longer.
Mm-hmm.
They have, after this, they have 6 more matches in WCW, plus a singles match for Rocco Rock. And you get to watch their final WCW match because it happens on a Thunder.
Ah, yay. Can I say as well, how funny it is that the time to do the big Public Enemy return to WCW is 3 weeks after they banned hardcore. Like, literally their bit is putting people through tables.
But what's really impressive is in 1999, they work on TV for WWF, WCW, and ECW.
Yeah. I mean, work.
Well,
But yeah,
okay, fine.
I'll give you that. Yeah.
I mean,
make appearance in a wrestling match.
them and fucking the Insane Clown Posse. Like,
Yeah.
It doesn't say much. It didn't take much talent to get on TV in 1999.
For those of you who remember who I listed out as part of this match, it would take you quite a number of guesses to get to who the first two to do the "I'm teasing climbing the fence to win this match" was. Yes, that's right, everyone. It was Rocco Rock and Horace Hogan.
Yeah, they go and do a climb to remind us of the one rule.
Yeah. So Rocco is hanging on to the top of the fence as Horace kind of drags at him. Absolutely pathetic, because like, again, this fence is about as tall as Horace. So Horace is standing there pretending it's hard to reach up and drag Rocco back. Meanwhile, everybody else, that's the other thing, is like these two are like either one of them could go over the fence at any second, and everybody else in the match is fighting completely unaware. And whenever
100 feet away.
Well, that's it. Whenever they do the aerial shot, I'm trying to find the fence and I can't.
You don't see it. Yeah.
Like there's a part of me that started to wonder, is like, did they shoot the fence stuff separately and cut it in later?
We'll get to that at the end.
So Fit. Oh my God. Right. Okay. Who wants to talk about Fit Finley and the forklift? Because this was the least perilous moment of peril I've ever seen in my life. I respected the shit out of Fit Finley here, being like, I am not for 1 second risking the possibility. I am not putting my health and safety into the hands of this company for a moment.
Very smart.
You say that because he still ended up getting fucking badly maimed in this match.
Yeah. What? So explain the bit with the forklift, like.
I think it's him and Hack are brawling, and Hack throws him into a boot of a car.
Yeah.
And locks
the trunk for our American friends.
The trunk for our American friends, yes, into the boot. Locks the boot. The boot instantly pops open. And Hack slams
it. Would have been so funny if the boot popped open and Finley just got up and walked out. Like, didn't even run, just like, yeah.
I'm pretty sure Hack slams it down again, and we get, oh my God, here's a forklift.
Yeah.
As soon as the forklift like literally tips off the car, Finley is like, no, fuck this, hops out of the boot.
Was there this, what I couldn't tell as well is it's not a wrestler driving the fork truck. It's
just some guy.
Hack has a staff.
I called it an unknown 16th party.
Yeah,
like, I guess like I get what Chastity had very hairy legs. If it was weird, if it was Chastity,
who are you to judge, Karen? Like, it's, like, it's,
I'm not judging.
Just Florida, man. It could have been.
Just made an observation. But like, I guess she couldn't get her forklift license in time. The same as how she couldn't appear on Thunder to invite people to her Charges Invitational. It was Jimmy Hart.
But yeah, like the forklift then proceeds to put the car into the compactor. And I'd say it takes a good 45 seconds between Finley getting out of the boot and the car actually beginning to get compacted.
Like, immediately, as soon as he detects the faintest hint that the forklift is near the car, he just gets up and walks off.
Yeah. Finley didn't have time to just watch Titanic. He had time to fucking make it by the time that
not
thing
only
got crushed.
Not only that, but like blatantly in front of the forklift driver. Could clearly see that Finley was gone, but still brought it into the crusher. And then, like, I'll tell you.
But then you have to consider that the forklift driver has probably already been paid by Hack. So why does he care if there's a body in the boot?
I am looking at the explosions of the bombs in AEW more fondly after the pyrotechnics efforts at the end of this match, where they have the car gets crushed, 2-second pause, and then a couple of sparklers go off.
Gilbert Kenders.
Apparently there were party poppers in the glove compartment.
Yeah, God, well, I'd say there were a few party poppers in the junkyard that night, if you know what I mean. So the forklift crufter bails before any peril. Oh my God. So Finley, they obviously wanted to give Fit Finley the cool action movie walk away explosion moment, where they
Is that what this was?
Did you not see it with the barrel?
Oh, I saw the barrel, but like,
so they wanted to do the thing where he kicks over the barrel, it lights the
trail.
So because he kicks over the fuel,
yes,
like a fuel canister, and then he's supposed to kick over the thing, and then the trail is supposed to light, and it's supposed to light the car. But by the time he gets to the barrel, the car's already on fire.
Yes,
and then he still does it anyway, and then the trail of like fuel to the car doesn't light on fire, but the car randomly explodes.
It says they say the explosion kept all the other wrestlers at bay.
Yes,
None of them are in the same zip code as that car when it goes.
What about Horace and Johnny Grunge that were already at the gate?
Disappeared off the face of the earth. I also love that. I'm just realizing this now. I literally just stopped taking notes at this because when the explosion happened, I just wrote "fuck off," and the next thing I have is the next match. So Finlay won anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah,
well, it's legitimately one of the worst matches I've ever watched.
Finlay won, and then I don't think is able to wrestle on TV for a number of months.
No, I think he's still around. He actually gets injured by Brian Knobbs in a different hardcore match.
Oh, is it? Okay,
they do a table spot and Finlay breaks his leg. So this thing cost over $100,000.
Oh my God.
Jimmy Hart was in charge.
That's nearly one Michael Buffer appearance.
And apparently Mikey Whipwreck's pleas to tape it beforehand fell on deaf ears, and this was live.
Jesus. What? I mean, that is one, surprising, but two, kind of explains a lot.
Apparently Whipwreck went, why don't we go down there like a day or two before? We'll all do one or two cool spots, edit it together, and then just have Finlay climb over the gate. And apparently WCW didn't want to do this.
Look, I'm just going to say this, right? And I do not want to cast aspersions on the man or the company I'm about to mention. But when you have this many people in a match and the man with the most vision and knowledge of production and editing is Mikey Whipwreck from ECW.
Yeah.
Trouble. As Garrett Kidney would say, jail. Go to jail.
I also have the injury list.
Okay.
So Silver King needed 60 stitches in his shoulder after hitting a broken windscreen. Hugh Morris needed stitches in his hand when he put it through the same windscreen.
Fuck that.
Hack separated his shoulder and may have also injured his neck. You can see him, like when he's putting Finlay in the boot of the taxi, he's got one arm hanging by his side. And Mikey Whipwreck also suffered a concussion.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible.
For a match you can barely see.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's almost worth telling people listening to this to go watch it, because I don't think we've even done justice to the
That's what I was going to say. I don't think if you've never seen this, you can't fathom just how awful it is.
Yeah. Like on every level. The wrestling, the people involved, and the way the match was put together, how it looked, how it sounded.
We didn't even, that's what I was going to say, we didn't even talk about the constant fucking whir of the helicopter fucking in the background.
The person I feel most sorry for is actually Mike Tenay, who went all the way out there just to do Robert Llewellyn in the Scrap Heap Challenge intro in the previous thing, and then wasn't even the fucking commentator. It was the commentary was done by Bobby and Tony back in the building.
Yeah,
maybe it was Tenay in the forklift.
I'm sorry, Tenay was at the bar already. Like as soon as his bit with the trophy was done, he's like, "I'm clocking out, guys. I'm not being part of this." Our next match, we try to pick ourselves up for this, but at least this was the oasis in the middle of the pay-per-view. Like, even though the idea very much, it's great to have you return, Lee, both on a match that flies in the face of how you should defend a tag team title, and then later does the reverse Lee Malone of defending a singles title in a tag team match. It's a great week for you to be back. But we have a 3-on-2 handicap match for the World Tag Team title. Triad. Bam Bam Bigelow, Diamond Dallas Page, and Canyon versus Chris Benoit and Perry Saturn. And in spite of the 3 versus 2 for the tag team titles being a thing, I thought by the incredibly low standards of this show, this was a very competent match that got the crowd going at long last.
I disagree. Let's carry on.
I also disagree.
Okay.
I thought this match did not deliver at all.
I think for this, like for the pay-per-view, I think these guys can deliver better. I'm at least vindicated by the it would seem that get on the sliding scale of the show that Dave Meltzer somewhat agrees with me. This was 3.5 stars from him by
No chance.
considerable distance, the highest rated match on the show.
I will say I think it's the best match on the show almost by default. I do not think it's a 3.5 star match, even in 1999.
So we get a long tag team title recap, incorporating mostly the Flair and Bagwell storyline and only kind of laterally the tag teams that are involved in this. It's all Saturn and Benoit for the first minute, which is kind of the running thing of their matches, that they're so intense they kind of overwhelm everybody early and they kind of have to cheat to get the heat then. They control the ring and the heels have to regroup a couple of times. I love that of the three guys here, you know, Big Scary Bam Bam Bigelow, multiple time world champion now at this stage, DDP, almost by default for a second reign. The one who goes, no, guys, I think I can single-handedly dispatch Chris Benoit and Perry Saturn is Chris Kanyon.
I got great. This cleaner.
Yeah, it's so good. Yeah, he is a full cleaner. I got this moment. Yeah.
I will say, as much as I didn't like the actual match itself, I thought Tony and Heenan on the call, they absolutely did their best to put over the guys in the match.
Mm-hmm.
Tony at the start gives all the background of Saturn working ECW shows with like a broken fucking leg and torn ACL.
Yeah.
An injury that led to one of the best named tag teams of all time when he had to finally sit out because Mustafa Saeed was gone as well. We got New Jack and John Cronus as the Gangstanators. Yeah.
Then like Benoit gets in the ring and they both refer to him as like an uncrowned champion of the fans, and like the fans are so into him and they want him to be something.
Yeah. And
Heenan then does a really good job putting over Kanyon as a future star. He's like, oh, this guy's going to be huge someday soon.
I think Chris Kanyon understands hubris more than any professional wrestler of his generation, because he does this bit that I was describing where he's like, no, guys, I got this, don't worry. And when I say immediately, he immediately got the shit kicked out of him by both of them.
There was a sequence I really love. So Saturn grabs Kanyon for a German suplex. Kanyon grabs the ref to prevent being lifted and elbows his way out. And then he pushes the ref out of the way when he gets admonished for this. Perry grabs him again. So with the ref out of arm's reach, Kanyon grabs the top rope. Benoit saunters across the apron from his corner, playing off the story we talked about from their match on Thunder, chops Kanyon once very hard, spinning him around into a T-bone suplex. Lovely.
Yeah. The one thing about, so the thing that knocks this down to me, which is where, like I said, these guys are capable of a lot better, even though I did enjoy this match, and maybe it's the Stockholm syndrome of the two matches beforehand, but the thing that was fundamentally broken about the middle part of this match is the psychology of it, which for the five men involved in this match, you're just like, how the fuck are you making such a basic error? Because the story of this match is the valiant heels being made to suffer by the nasty baby faces, of whom there are less.
Yeah, Saturn and Benoit worked this match as total heels.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And as if they had the man advantage.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That part of it, and where it eventually changes is like, there's a bit where Kanyon does the, like, he's like, nope. And he starts running around the ring, and eventually, I think it's Saturn, he leads into like a double ambush by the guys.
Yeah,
that's the first heel thing the heels did in a couple of minutes, because they were like running scared from the nasty baby faces till then.
So, I mean, to give them sort of, I agree, but to give them sort of credit, I think the story they were going for is the two experienced baby faces managed to isolate the inexperienced heel. And they're not constantly beating up the other guys as well. They're just sort of like knocking them off the apron and keeping Kanyon isolated. This is, however, a whole lot of a 6'5" heel dead selling for two 5'9" baby faces.
But it also gets an incredible amount of baby face sympathy on Kanyon. He can't get to his buddies.
But I think that's leading. Like, if you look at the actions towards the end of the match, I think they are totally going for setting up for Kanyon turning face.
They're just queuing up positively Kanyon a year ahead of time. Yeah. So where am I at here? Saturn gets perched on the top rope by Kanyon after the ambush, but he crotches Kanyon and hip tosses him off the top rope. We get a hot tag to Benoit, who has a nice big plate of chops for all three men then. There are some very, very loud chops in this match. Not quite as loud as, and Lee, I'm so sorry you missed it on Rehash, the Steamboat Terry Funk match. Where those men nearly sent each other's nipples into the back row with the chops.
I've seen the match before. It's well made, yeah.
It's a great
God.
Match.
If you had told me that I was allowed to stop this pay-per-view, rewatch and re-review that match, I would have taken your arm off at that stage. So yeah, the hot tag, the chops, he goes up taunt. Oh yeah, so Paige cuts him off. And then this is like, we gift last time you were on the show, Kieran, we gift Paige doing one of the best I'm stuck in the ropes and can't break up the pin spots I've ever seen in my life. And this is one of the, like, and this is unintentional, one of the best heel trying to show off and then completely looking like a tit, because he goes up on the top rope to try and taunt, but he went up with a bit too much. He put a bit too much sauce on that jump up to the middle rope and went arse over tea kettle over the turnbuckle to the outside.
And then saved it by hopping up on the guardrail.
I think it's intentional. Like, he knows. No, I think if you look, the crowd are not into this at all. The thing you called a hot tag, Dave, like,
it wasn't
was
like, it was
a cup of tea that had been out for several hours.
Yeah, mechanically, it's a hot tag. Like, it's the hot tag spot. But I don't want to make it sound like it actually was hot.
The crowd made no noise for it.
Yeah, the crowd doesn't get hot till like the last 3 or so minutes, maybe.
Maybe a little less. But like, I think Paige is like, they're not paying attention, and he goes up because this is where all the beach balls have happened.
You think he's been watching his Sabu tapes and Sabu's intentional botches?
Intentional botches.
No, I think it's an intentional pratfall, because then the crowd are watching the ring again.
It's my new favorite Twitter guy, the guy who, like, months after the last time everyone was talking about this, goes, "Hey guys, I don't know if you know this, but Sabu would sometimes intentionally botch spots."
I will say, in Kieran's support of this, DDP then gets in the ring within a couple of seconds. Like, he gets the tag and there's this big shit-eating grin on his face. And it's like, it's like natural. It's not him putting on a shit-eating grin. It's like a thing of, I got them.
Yeah. Is it I got them, or that could have gone very badly? Like, I may have absolutely creased myself. Who's to say? The Paige, possibly the greatest worker of them all. Where are we next? So Canyon next. He tries to wear down Benoit. God bless him. Corner whips. Benoit tries to post out of the corner, but gets caught in Canyon's cool sit out Alabama slammer. Bam Bam tagged in next. Lads, Bam Bam has just not been doing it. It's just like, we've said it before about people on this show, but like, washed is the word that comes to mind. Like, not only like physically, but like, he doesn't seem to even be trying within the limitations he has at this stage. He's just like, he's happy to be here hanging out with the lads.
Look at the outfit. Look at the outfit. Like, where are the flames? Where's
a guy
his cool
with
bodysuit?
A guy who the whole thing was his look was iconic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not all he had. Like, I don't want to say that he was just a look and nothing else, but like, it was a key part of the act. Now, he does, I know, like, later in his run, put a bit more effort into the outfit, but I think that might be because he's like physically diminished a little bit more, so the nicer jumpsuits start to come out. But yeah, this is like, it was like somebody went and ordered a Matanza Cueto costume off Wish. Like, it's the cheapest boiler suit you've ever seen, with like, somebody's got a Pritt stick and stuck Bam Bam onto it. Or no, sorry, Greetings from Asbury Park on it.
Yeah, that's I think it says everything about the atmosphere in WCW, that Bam Bam came in after a fucking great 1998 in ECW. He had a great feud with Taz and all the triple threat stuff. And he comes in hot, teasing the feud with Goldberg for a month, 2 months, gets dragged out. And by the time they actually do the Goldberg match, it's just dead.
Yeah.
And just, he hasn't got back yet.
Yeah. Nor will he. So the heels dominate, and Bam Bam goes for his big boy moonsault, which again looks worse and worse as time goes on. He misses. Saturn comes in, cleans house, bundles Canyon and Paige outside. In the ring, they double team Bam Bam, get him down for a splash. Diving headbutt, but Paige comes off the top and breaks it up. We get a lovely looking Northern Light suplex for a 2 count. Then Saturn decides to go for the Death Valley driver, bonks the ref because, of course, how many times, like I love Perry Saturn, but how many times have we seen the DVD legs bump the ref spot? I feel like 1,000 times.
It's a move from the future. The referees of WCW have never seen a man lifted up onto another man's shoulders before.
They're going to say it's 1999. They've never seen a DVD before.
Exactly.
Yeah. So then Bam Bam tries to throw dust, which is not an established thing that the Triad have been doing. At least not on Thunder, anyway. He then accidentally blinds Paige with it. Paige is blind and hits the diamond cutter on Canyon. Bam Bam puts Canyon's foot on the ropes to break it up. German suplex bridge for 2 count from Benoit. DDP just has a bin.
This is the part where I wrote, nobody cares about legal men anymore. Between this and the 8 men, it's like watching Lumpy Dragon Gate.
Yeah, and this is where they have the I think this is where they had the argument about, oh, he's the legal man, is he?
That comes earlier on. So like Benoit hits that diving headbutt, and that comes just seconds after Schiavone reminds us that Saturn is legal, and so is Paige if you're keeping score. And the referee counts Benoit's cover on Bam Bam.
So he has his bin. He bonks Benoit, bonks Canyon. Then Bam Bam lifts Saturn up into an elevated cutter. Bam Bam rolls in the ref, pins. It psychologically completely fell apart in the middle, but that like I could have done without the bin, I'll tell you that. But
from the powder on, the crowd were into it, but I think that's the only part the crowd were into.
Yeah.
Like, oh no, I think you could run it back to like when Saturn starts really to get going, like right before he signals for the DVD, and the DVD is where like the crowd hit another gear of cheering. They're like starting to make noise when he's doing that sequence, and then when he does is the you know the Cronus, where are you? When he starts doing a symbol for the DVD, that's when the crowd start to go, oh yeah, we're cooking now. And then don't savor that for too long, because they go right back to quiet after this.
The last minute and a half of this I thought were really good and really creative.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, there were 22 previous minutes, at least 10 of which did not need to be there. Like the babyface is beating up.
Minutes, did it?
This match goes 23 and a half minutes.
Yeah.
Holy
it's
fuck.
by far the longest match on the show.
23-17. Yep.
You would have definitely, if I told you there was a nearly 25-minute match, you definitely would have said the Junkyard match. Like, you definitely.
I mean, like the first half of the 8-man felt like 20 minutes.
Yeah. Anyway, there's no real time to breathe, because we go straight into the next match, which I know we've all been waiting for, which is Buff Bagwell versus RPVP in a boxing match with Mills Lane as your special guest referee. And that's where I had him about dressed as a Victorian child ghost.
I would like to point out that despite the bit at the beginning of the show, I do not think Michael Buffer is any good. I want to clear my name here. He said, my note is, oh God, Buffer is here. He then says, they will lace up the leather, inadvertently revealing his search history.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I have some the history of Mills Lane. He's made 2 appearances in the world of professional wrestling. He appeared on the November 16th, 1998 episode of WWE Raw on the Titantron, and made a ruling in regards to a contract dispute between Stone Cold Steve Austin and the McMahon family. And then I remember
that.
And then he shows up like does he show up? Is it the Nitro, the Go Home Nitro, where they announced that he's gonna?
Yes, yeah. So that's where the interview with that JJ Dillon is conducting comes from. That's where this match got set up, and Tony couldn't decide if it was a boxing match or just a taped fist match.
Yeah. So Buff's outfit, I actually think the boxing shorts like don't look horrendous on him.
Buff made an effort.
Yes,
I wrote
the gloves.
He looks like he's taking the piss out of Mark Merrow.
Yes, but taking the piss by looking like a much tougher Mark Merrow, because like he is like again the condition of the man.
Oh yeah, he's in shape, like especially like contrasted to Piper, who looks like he's like been teleported in from the fucking 70s with his saggy like blue pants, no knee pads.
Yeah.
Why wasn't
physique.
Piper in boxing shorts?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why did he wear his wrestling tights?
Yeah, like
one of Dave's notes in the Observer is, "I had to suffer topless Piper."
yeah, they're like,
But it's the bottom half you're concerned about, Lee, I suppose.
yeah. So like the thing that kind of got me about Buff's like gear, because I thought the boots looked good, the shorts looked good, he was in great condition, obviously ripped to shreds, tanned to bits, but it was the gloves where I'm thought, okay, now it's like a little bit goofy comedy because one glove says Buff's right, the other one says Buff's left, and they say 1-2 on them. So you're doing two
jokes,
gloves based graphic jokes.
They were better than Piper's gloves.
Yeah,
like his
wearing...
hands very clearly did not go to the end of those gloves.
I was just gonna say
they were huge.
Like, are they novelty boxing gloves?
Yeah, like the fingers on a lot of his punches were like open-handed slaps because his hands just didn't fill the gloves.
Yeah.
He tells the story of like the Mr. T match where he was forced to have his fist taped closed before they were put inside the gloves so he wouldn't hurt Mr. T. Yeah. I reckon he told that story and then told them, look, you better do it again here so I don't hurt Bagwell.
Yeah. I'm sure you would all probably be surprised to learn that there's a moment here right before this match starts that's my favorite moment on the whole pay-per-view. And it's a blink and you'll miss it.
Is it where Judy Bagwell almost does a Titus O'Neil?
It's right before that. So Buff Bagwell announces that he's got backup. And that backup is Judge Judy Bagwell, which I did laugh at that part. The best part, blink and you'll miss it. And if you're not watching the back of the screen, you'll miss it. Look at Ric Flair's face when he says Judy Bagwell. That man's eyes go wide as plates. like fucking Stone Cold Judy Bagwell's about to come out and hit him with a stunner. Like it is he does the Vince Cell when the glass shatters. Like he's one step short of doing the gulp. There's just this because it's obviously it's upscaled from standard definition on the network, but you can still see there's just the flash of the white of his eyes going the fuck? Judy Bagwell? Is that former tag team champion Judy Bagwell coming out? I died. But she comes out anyway, and yes, she trips over a cable on the way out and nearly absolutely snots herself.
She did better than Chavo Guerrero did on the Nitro, where he went arse over tea kettle down the ramp.
Yes. But that's good. Look, it's Judy Bagwell. She's a pro. You know? Of course. Yeah. So yeah, she has like a god awful spray paint effect t-shirt of the two of them, the Bagwells.
Bobby says something to the effect of, she's clearly been to a garage sale, not because of the shirt. Look, she's had her hair done.
Yeah, that was a great line.
I love that Ric Flair, who has been burying every member of every audience at every show, as well as the entire roster of the company he works for, opens his little bit on the microphone by going, "Look, I respect Judy Bagwell."
Yeah.
She's a
you respect your mother.
Like she's his famous shooter.
Yeah.
But I love that he closes that whole thing with, "Look, I can't save you. Roddy's going to shoot on you."
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It's awful.
He says, "I can't save you," and then gestures to Judy and goes, "And neither can she."
Yeah. He says, "If you apologize, we'll just forget about it." And Buff, in what I'm sure he thought while he was writing down drafts of this earlier, thought was it was probably the best comeback he came up with in his little notebook was, "Yeah, why don't you rewind to 3 weeks ago when I blockbustered your ass?" Okay.
Rick should have responded with, "How about when my gormless idiot son pinned you on Nitro 6 days ago?"
Our brave United States champion.
Yeah.
We have our match. Piper looks like dog shit. We said that before. We don't really need to go over it again, but he just looks like I don't know.
He's so fucking bad.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be on fucking TV. Like, what is this company? Yeah. Like the roster they have at their disposal, and they are willingly putting Roddy Piper in that shape. Like, I get the name value. I understand that. But like, why would you put him in the ring looking like that?
It's mad that he would wrestle a match at WrestleMania 10 years after this. 10 years and a cancer after this. He would wrestle at WrestleMania. He's also got at least one, I think maybe 2 Royal Rumble appearances in his future still.
definitely
He's got the one. He did Madison
2008,
Square Garden.
and
I think there was one somewhere.
was there one? I think there was one after the Snooker one. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, we're just trying to not talk about this.
He and Ric Flair would be WWE World Tag Team Champions.
Yeah.
A decade after this.
Yeah.
Oh, was it a decade? Was it?
Almost.
Was
not quite. No, 2006. So like 7 years.
Yeah,
So
2006.
7 years,
It was during the
Legends versus fucking. What feud was that?
Oh, the Legends versus Jericho one in 2008.
They actually beat the Spirit
2009.
Squad.
Oh, so that was
Spirit
2006.
Squad,
Yeah.
that's what it was.
Yeah, the Jericho one was a couple of years later, where it was him, Snuka, and Steamboat. Because there's that bit where like the two guys looks like absolute shit. Dragon gets in and does one arm drag, and Jim Ross nearly climaxed.
and then Steamboat had to work a whole fucking raft of house shows, and was like, fuck this.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, it's just what do you say about this match? Like, it's just a work boxing match. Like,
so Shivani says it's 10 3-minute rounds, and I'm like, fucking hell, there's no way I can stand half an hour of this. 46
sorry,
seconds in.
you misspoke here. There's no way can Piper stand for half an hour of this.
That's what the breaks are for in between. 46 seconds in, Shivani says 2 minutes have passed, and round number 1 goes 2 minutes and 10 seconds.
And then the clock starts at 2 minutes for the second round.
Yes. Was it Shivani goes, oh, I've just been told it's actually 2-minute rounds.
Amazing.
They do a thing where like Flair perfumes Piper's gloves. That's what it looked like. He just brought his eau de toilette out and sprayed stuff on them. And the idea is like it affects Buff's vision when Piper jabs him in the face. Did you see the absolute hash Flair and Piper made of using a towel to wipe it off the gloves behind Piper's back so Lane couldn't see?
I feel they
missed so many times.
I feel like they had a good idea in their head.
Yes.
And it just, the execution was no.
My only other note about this, is the finish. Like, I wrote nothing about this. It's just punches. They do like the pendulum of momentum stuff and, you know, a cheating heel, but it's 4 minutes of bad punches.
Yeah. And Lee, this match which Buffer enthusiastically states takes place under Marquis of Queensberry rules. Please tell the people listening how this match finishes. Was it a right cross, a left hook?
It was inexplicably a blockbuster, and not even a 3 count, a 3 fucking gesture by Mills Lane.
Mills Lane counts this like he's the old world of sport referee Max Ward, who never could be bothered to get down.
He couldn't get down on the mat. This fucking this is awful.
Congratulations to WCW on making a mockery of both boxing and wrestling in under 10 minutes.
Another moment where the Shivani mask slips about how much he hates life, where as this segment ends, he says, and I quote, "Have you ever seen a match or night where there isn't some sort of cheating in WCW?"
Oh yeah, because Heenan is up in arms about it ending with the blockbuster, and Shivani's like, who fucking cares?
Yeah.
Now lads, ye complained about Dave being too generous with the 3.5 stars for the handicap tag match. This got half a star.
I know.
That is a criminal overrating of a match to me.
It was after this that I sent the tweet that said, I have to come and talk to you about this. Like, Jesus Christ. We have missed, however, Judy, at the beginning of round 3, Judy Bagwell just gets in the ring and bites Piper's ear, and then dumps a bucket on his head so Buff can punch it off. And then she does a brilliant job of stopping Flair from making the save on the pinfall that's happening at the end of the boxing match.
Yeah, she's able to like hold Ric Flair back with one arm.
Yeah,
she was the star of this whole disaster.
Yeah. Stone Cold Judy Bagwell, I'm telling you.
She carried Rick Steiner.
Yeah.
She obviously had no business being a tag team champion or even in quote unquote wrestling matches, but she totally gets the business.
And very famously, we're not nearly done with Judy Bagwell in World Championship Wrestling yet.
Or forklifts.
Yes, that's forklifts. Do you think she was backstage watching that night and she was like, I got a fucking idea?
Look, given the camera work on that, told me she was in that Junkyard Battle Royal, I believe you.
She's watching that forklift and she's like, I want to do something with that. I need to wait until there's somebody in a job here that's so dumb.
Understands.
That's so dumb they'll go for this. And boy, was she gift wrapped that man. Anyway, we get a video package, the Nash and Savage recap, including Savage reenacting pinning Nash with George in Nash's place, which I hadn't seen before.
Oh, well, I mean, look, that was quite the moment.
Yeah.
I want to talk about the fashions.
Yeah.
So in that part, Medusa is making the count, and her flares are out of control.
Yeah.
Like they're enormous. Like we got Kev talking about
her flares.
Her flares, yes.
Okay. Just you said enormous and out of control.
Kev starts talking about sandals, and you got Macho wearing a coat made from a hearth rug, beating up what looks like a giant dude love, because there is now a tie-dye NWO shirt that Kevin Nash feels the need to model.
I want to defend that. I want that tie-dye NWO t-shirt. I would happily wear that to All Out. Or All In, whichever one of our football.
Yeah, well, yeah, Lee's going to be at All In, so if you see him and you happen to have one, or you want to make one for him,
if he's wearing it, you'll definitely be able to see him wherever you are in that building.
Yeah. Oh, you'll be able to pick him up on the hard cam for sure.
Listen, if you don't think Big Sexy's going to be on that Wembley show, you got another thing coming to.
Do you think are you saying Kevin Nash, or are you referring to yourself wearing the tie-dye t-shirt as Big Sexy?
I refer to myself as a lot of things, but big is not one of them.
Oh,
he's not denying the sexy part, though. You know.
No. I'm more of a medium sexy, if anything.
What, like, obviously, I'm parachuting in here for this. So at the top of the show, Shivani says this is a very unique tag team match where, in fact, Sting can pin his partner Kevin Nash to win the world title.
Is the question, how did this come about?
No. I'm very aware of how it came about, because the whole thing of
Kevin
Sting...
Nash, under absolutely no pressure or obligation whatsoever, decided to offer this chance. Please stab me in the back, Sting.
Yes, Sting driving the Hummer and all that.
Yeah.
My point would be, okay, so Nash doesn't trust his partner. Why not just make it a straight up 4-way match?
I believe we said that immediately when we reviewed Thunder. Yeah.
Yeah. Because, like, there's clearly, like, these guys are just booking the matches themselves on the fly, even in kayfabe.
Yeah.
Like, there's absolutely no reason for this to be a tag team match. It's not like JJ Dillon has come out and said, oh, you boys, you're going to get it on in a tag team match. Like, there is no, it's...
Nash is clever because he refuses to get in the ring for the first, like, couple of minutes of this match.
Yeah, if I'm not
He's
in,
like, you got it, bud. Don't worry.
Maybe that's why he booked it, because he's like, oh, there's an excuse for me not to get off the apron. So yes, this is the WCW World Heavyweight Title Tag Team match. Kevin Nash and Sting versus Randy Savage and Sid Vicious with Gorgeous George, Medusa, and Miss Madness. Even Buffer, as he's reading out the stip, seems to be like, what?
Every time Shivani has mentioned the stip throughout the show, he has merely been statements of fact. Like, he has offered no opinion on it. Clearly, he fucking hates it.
Yeah.
I dubbed this the Diesel Jeopardy match. And the first thing, Macho's music not being Pomp and Circumstance really threw me.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember him ever. Even in TNA, for his one appearance, they had, I don't know, was it Surge get out the electric guitar and do a terrible version of it?
Yeah, so you've never heard the What Up match?
No, I don't think I have. No.
Oh, man, I unironically love What Up match.
It's pretty good, though. Yeah. You mentioning, like, Buffer, like, I'm scarcely able to believe the stip as he's reading it out.
Yeah.
He introduces Savage and Sid as two men who care little about world title belts in this World Heavyweight Championship match,
where the
whole fucking angle on Monday was that at the confusing end of the lumberjack match the week before, Nash had left with the women, but Sid left with the belt and was even wearing it on Nitro.
Yeah. Sid was also referred to by Buffer in like this was like a double bill of great. Like, I'm sorry, Lee, but these were very funny and not in an intentional way, I guess. Lines by Buffer. There was that, and then he refers to Sid as a supersized machine of destruction. Great shit.
And the viciously dangerous point man of Team Savage.
Yeah,
they're called Team Madness.
Yeah.
Or Team Maidens, according to one sign, and Team Maddens, according to another, because nobody in a WCW, I actually wanted to set up a Twitter account that was just misspelled signs of WCW, because when I was watching through all the Nitros, every week, the director would cut to at least one sign with a spelling mistake on it.
Yeah. I've gotten inured to it at this stage. I hardly even notice it. I wonder, has my spelling gotten worse from watching this show? But in a harbinger of just how bad this match was going to be, at the start, there's a big standoff between Savage and Nash. Savage chastises George for the illusions during the hostage angle that George had become enamored with the large, sexy man. And because she is chastised, she decides to walk over to Nash's corner.
So,
as if it wasn't fucking obvious what was going to happen from that point.
She walked out with Macho. Yeah, like she just spent all day with him just to go, well, no, I'm going to go to this corner.
So she's supposed to have black eyes under her shades. Yeah. But the Send for the Man incident isn't allowed to be referenced on TV at all. And you know, we talked about on Thunder, Dave, Mike Tenay was like, I've just heard Randy Savage has arrived at the building.
Yeah.
I've just heard Randy Savage is not being allowed on TV.
That's why.
That was for real.
Wow.
Because of the Send for the Man moment.
Because like Savage was in big trouble over that. Yeah. Well, not enough trouble. Trouble given how this match goes, but
like rightfully so as well.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, I was about to say that. Yeah, rightfully so. Like, not fucking not good. Like,
but like,
it's also
wrestling. Please don't do domestic violence angles, particularly how this one plays out.
It's also remarkable in 1999 that even, I assume it would be threats from Turner. Like, because I don't see WCW electing not to do this, but even with corporate threats, I'm still surprised that the brain geniuses at WCW
put the title on him.
No, yes, but also that they didn't still go, no, we'll work it into an angle. You know what I mean? Immediately. So
like the whole thing of her taking off the shades in the ring, and that's where I went, hang on, this is the whole, you know, as we call it, the Send for the Man moment.
Mm-hmm.
That was this whole feud, and that's where I was just like she has visible that guy, and they just don't address it, and obviously, as Kieran pointed out, it's for a very good fucking reason.
Yeah.
It's real bad.
If only there were any current day parallels to backstage unpleasantness not being allowed to be mentioned on national television.
Well, I mean, that show still hasn't happened yet, so I wouldn't hold your breath on that one.
I mean, I'll wait to release this show until after, just in case, edit this whole bit out. So yes, the match starts, I guess. So Savage tries to confront her, and then the Faces attack. Sting brings him back into the ring. Sid in, but gets taken down by a big Sting crossbody. Savage comes in, regains control of the match.
Well, Sting hits the crossbody, and then he repeatedly slams the back of Sid's head into the mat.
Yeah.
Savage comes in and tries to make the save, but they're moving around the mat so much, he's just waving his foot impotently in the air and then just gets out the ring again.
There's a bit here where Medusa, the idea is that she's going to do like a roundhouse kick to his side and buckle him, but it's the most half-assed kick you've ever, like, Medusa knows better than this. Like, she's just like,
I mean, look, Medusa's fucking outfits that we've talked about before really prohibit her from doing stuff that she's capable of doing.
Yes, she's had several near misses.
I did notice she was in trainers, and it's the bunny rule from AEW. If she's in flats, she's going to get physical.
Yeah,
and she very much did in this.
Yeah. Nash got tagged in for a slow comeback. This man was blown up by being tagged in.
Whenever I see Kevin Nash wrestle, I can only ever think of Jim Cornette running through the 5 moves.
The 5 moves to do.
Yeah.
the fucking hair flip, the fucking flipper punch.
He then does a firm. It's funny because like Sting hadn't done anything so far to make Nash think he was going to be betrayed, but he still does the "I'm annoyed at you" physical tag out to Sting again. Like he put himself in this situation where he could lose the title to Sting, and now he's trying to flare up aggro with Sting where there is none. Like Sting the whole time, be like, man, we're cool, it's fine.
He's just been working the match. Like, we're good.
So scrappy outside with match, and then as you said, the women get physical and shove Sting into the ring post.
Shivani calls them polished and prolific lady wrestlers. Medusa has never been polished, and up to this point had exactly one match in 1999.
Yeah.
Her next one will be on Nitro in a few weeks, and it is against a fabulously named Patty Stone Grinder, all separate words.
Incredible.
And Miss Madness, since joining WCW over a year ago, has had 4 matches, all as Starla Saxton, and none of them in 1999.
I think you use a Patty Stone Grinder to season your burgers on the grill, don't you? So come back on Sid, takes him down with a shoulder tackle, and then does the it's such a weirdly placed time to do this spot. He does the collapse from exhaustion and headbutt you in the crotch on the way down thing on Sid.
He's been doing that for at least 5 years, and it's never looked better than the first time I saw him do it when he did it on Earthquake/Avalanche, where they made it look like a genuine mistake.
I actually remember that.
You know the one, right? Yeah. And this is also time he's done it since has looked bad.
But even on that scale, like this is 5 minutes into a match that he has not been in the ring for all of. Like, how is he this blown up? Like, Nash is in, attacks both men in a manner of speaking. Slam Sid, boots Savage. The women get in again. Sting does the noggin knocker on the 2 women. Valiant babyface Sting just attacking women. And you would think, right, after the last couple of weeks, to be like, maybe we don't attack women on pay-per-view. I don't know.
No, they don't. They decide to fucking double down and splash both of them.
Yes. I did burst out laughing when Tony called the double noggin knocker the double coconut maneuver.
Yeah.
It is also, troublingly, the biggest pop of this show.
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up.
1999 crowds are not great. He hits a splash on everybody, as Lee said, but then when he goes for Savage, Savage moves, and Sting hits Nash. Ooh. Nash regains his composure, in a manner of speaking. What'd you say, Lee?
It's at this point we then get the loudest chants of the night of Goldberg.
Yes.
The one man they chanted for all night.
So funny.
Oh man, I missed the bit where you can hear earlier on where you can hear the hot dog guy standing next to one of the crowd mics. You can hear him going, hot dogs, beer, get your popcorn.
Ladies, putting my kids through college.
It just brings me back to the whole point of how fucking dumb it is that even now in 2023, the brain trust of WCW will maintain they had to beat Goldberg in 1998.
Yeah.
That still in July, the crowd are chanting for that man.
But also, he's back.
Yeah.
He could have been on the show. There was nothing stopping them from putting him on the show.
Remember when Kevin Nash saved Goldberg?
Yeah. But
this would have been the perfect time to pay that back.
Imagine the pop if they just didn't randomly bring him out with Megadeth and he came out to make the save in the main event.
He saved Nash's title on the show, yeah.
You still could have done it with the Megadeth thing, like him announcing his like
Megadeth
like
going on.
Very, very dadly of you, Kieran, to say the Megadeth.
Sorry, I meant after the appearance with Megadeth. Excuse me.
I'd love
I would love it if it's like the middle of this match, Megadeth run in. Like they're just running out, trying to do a sound check really quickly.
Yeah, that's what I was going to, as the match is going on, you just see in the background Megadeth setting up on the stage.
Yeah. Oh, it's like, you know, when Nakamura debuted on the main roster and just like the camera cut away from the Miz and the violinist was just standing there. And it's just like no one says anything and the camera just randomly cuts the ramp. It's like, is that fucking Megadeth? Fucking love that shit. So Nash regains his composure, sort of. Sid spills out. Is it jackknife time? George comes in. Right, so she's supposed to do a low blow.
Oh
right?
Boy.
One, is the longest wind setup for a low blow I've ever seen. And then just look, I'm just gonna say it. She punches him in the hole.
She gets no higher than the bars.
she 100% can tell him how his prostate is doing. Like she fucking hits that target.
She was infatuated with him.
Yeah.
What we have missed is she misses the first attempt.
Yeah.
She then goes for take 2, but because Nash has Macho's face between his legs for the powerbomb and she doesn't want to punch him, she, as you said, like thumbs Kev right in the arsehole.
She ends up wearing him like a fucking Muppet.
Oh, Kev Mitt the Froggy.
Oh, right. So Big Fozzy, he recoils in horror after this punch in the arse. Sid slams Nash down, Macho elbow, and inexplicably, we have a new WCW champion. This legitimately surprised me because I completely forgot this title switch ever happened. And this is something that's going to happen with alarming frequency because it is impossible for the next 2 years to keep track of who has the title when.
Do you want to know what happens tomorrow night?
If there's a title change, I know.
Yeah.
I knew the title changed on this show, and I know the title change that happens on.
We're not doing another Night's Nitro for a while, so let us know who's going to be WCW champion by our next podcast.
Go on, Kieran. I'll let you take this one.
We are, by the way, at the end of the show now. So give us the epilogue, and then we'll go for our thoughts.
It's another big return. It is the big orange monster himself. Hulk Hogan beats Randy Savage on Nitro the next night. Yep.
Incredible.
Savage cannot escape Hogan when it comes to world title wins. The specter of Hogan is always there.
Kevin Nash, the fucking genius, dropped the title before Hogan came back.
Yeah.
Smartest man in the history of professional wrestling.
Well, not that smart. He booked himself in this stupid match.
Yeah, but
what?
Fair.
So the actual step is if anybody pins Nash, they're the champion.
Yes.
Yeah, why doesn't he just whack Sting over the head with his own bat, let him get pinned and fuck off up the bar?
You say he's stupid, right? You say he's stupid, but he got to just chill out for most of this match on the apron. He worked for all of about 3 minutes.
And he got a free prostate exam.
He got a fisting. Like, so...
It's not going to be your new thing. That's a fisting.
That's just... you better believe that's a fisting.
Oh my god!
So Kevin Nash has probably just had about par for his Sunday nights. To be fair, whether he was in the ring,
he's missing a glass of red wine and
waiting around for ages. 3 minutes of action and a fisting. That's.
Oh boy!
He probably still didn't take any bumps, did he? There was one.
Nash.
He took Nash. He took one bump. The Sid Slam.
Yeah. He took the choke slam. Was it? I think you're right. Yeah.
God damn. So this match was abysmal.
So it was a house show match with a stupid stipulation. Like nobody's heart was in this.
Yeah, -1 star from Dave.
Good.
Bad times. Might again have been a bit generous at that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get both of your overall thoughts. I'll start with Kieran, and then when I go to you, Lee, I'll get your winners and losers because it's been a long time since you've awarded your winners and losers. So we will give that responsibility solely to you. But first, Kieran, your overall thoughts on the show, as if it's going to come as a great galloping shock to anyone.
When I do the UWA stuff with Andy Ogden, I have dubbed that show a disaster in every segment. This was exactly the same. There was a botch or stupidity to some degree in every single segment. Like that 8-man, that I'm not surprised there were so many people wearing camo. It was a fucking war crime, that thing. You could get tried in The Hague for that match. It was awful. That was probably my low point, I think. But the whole
in
thing,
life.
It was so I put myself through this twice. I watched it once, and then I had to, when it was like confirmed I was coming on here, like I watched it again with notes to do notes.
That's all on you, pal.
I swear it took me over an hour to get through that match the second time and take notes. And like the first time I watched it, that was the point in the show when I gave up and went to bed and came back to the rest of it the next day. At the very least, there were some things I found funny, mostly Bobby Heenan, but the rest of this was awful. The person I feel most sorry for actually is that poor bloke who brought along his Goldberg sign and got no Goldberg. Nor would he on WCW television for another 15 days.
Amazing.
Awful.
Lee.
I love the show personally. No, this was.
Lee's going to rapidly turn this into like him coming out with Megadeth, and I don't let him back on for another 15 shows.
This was peak bad WCW. Like, I genuinely think this is the worst show we've ever had to endure for Days of Thunder.
Yeah, because like even like I don't know about individual Thunders, but in terms of pay-per-views, it's definitely the worst, because there might have been shows that had worse individual matches in terms of what I give a personal star rating to, but in terms of consistently bad start to finish pay-per-view, like, this is country mile the worst.
On a bad show, you'd still get a DDP match or a Rey Mysterio match.
Yeah, or they'd lash a bunch of cruiserweights out there for 5 minutes, and at least you get a breather from the bad.
But this was just top to bottom. Nothing was good. And it's not for a lack of names on the show. There's a plenty of people missing off the show, but it's still like up and down the card. Like, apart from maybe the first 2 matches, but there's name wrestlers in the rest of the matches.
Do you know what is the troubling trend that's emerging with this pay-per-view that will become a trend in WCW, like till its dying day? This is the first pay-per-view I've noticed where a significant portion of established people on the roster aren't trying.
Mm-hmm.
Because there would still be, like, again, even on shows we watched that are pretty bad before, you couldn't always say it was for lack of trying. It was like bad booking that a lot of people were trying to do their best with. Yeah. Whereas now you're starting to see a lot of people are very clearly phoning it in.
Like, you can't say that, honestly, DDP gave his best effort in the show.
No.
And that's a guy that we know always took great pride in what he did. But you look at this.
Sting was the one I really noticed it with. Like, his entrance has like there's some flashing like lightning effects, but like lights full up. His tune is great. Like, it's played on a fucking keyboard. He had no jacket on. It's just he didn't have a bat and was sad. He was just sadly walking down to the ring.
He had no
bare minimum and then leaving.
He had no bat and I was sad.
Yes.
Yeah. But then this is a man that's still reeling from the trauma of being mauled by a dog. Let us not forget, in one of the great backstage segments of all time. I think we can all agree.
It's
horrifying gore, the likes of which we've never seen.
So scared by that he just dropped his feud with the stars.
Definitely didn't have 3 foot of towel wrapped around his hand when that happened.
But yeah, no, this show is fucking horrendous. I'm literally after being looking through my notes, and I don't think I can give an actual winner out of like 8 matches. I don't think anyone comes out of this show any better than Duane Dinh.
I was going to think, like, at a stretch, I would say Bobby Heenan, because he had a good night and I've missed him. But that's,
we know
like,
where that goes.
Yeah, but I'm also really reaching at that point.
Yeah.
And like, he's maybe the one person on the entire program that I would not blame anything bad on the program on him.
Yeah, him and Shivani, I feel, which is kind of funny that they have an actual good night on probably the worst night of the company.
Yeah. Losers, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, look, nobody comes out of the show any better than they went in. Like, everything is just fucking a total miss. Every feud on this show.
Yeah. Again, just down to the fact, like we said earlier on, like the 2 biggest names hyped up the week of this show aren't on the show. Brett Goldberg.
Like Kieran said, the big fucking orange fucking monster is back now, and let's see where that goes.
Yes. Great mystery as to where it goes. Yeah. Anyway, our final thing is the finish counter, brought to you by Ludwig Borga. This pay-per-view had 8 matches with 2 clean finishes. 2 or sorry,
Trying to remember what the 2 clean finishes were.
Junkyard Battle Royal was unsurprisingly.
No, I didn't get it. Three interference leading to a finish, 1 miscellaneous shenanigans, and under the category other in parentheses non-finish, I have written 1 via fence and 1 via ignoring the rules of boxing. This has been a cathartic episode of Days of Thunder, like a group therapy session. But before we sign off, Kieran, thank you so much again for stepping into the breach. Do your plugs. Hit us up.
All right. So Mark Buckledy and I present Must See Matches every week, a podcast covering the top 104, because of how voting worked, matches that wrestling fans think other wrestling fans need to see, all as crowdsourced by Mark on Twitter. Dave and Lee have both been guests. Dave more than Lee, but Dave has better taste. Lee has better taste, rather. We'll get to more of his matches as we go further up the list. So you'll get the chance to come back.
I'm a better worker, though. You get the easy shifts.
We also have people like Jamesy, Garrett Kidney, Alan Forel, and other people who aren't Irish. So WH Park, 3/4 of Grapple, Joseph Montesio. All the stars are here, as the famous bit goes. Our last episode did in fact feature someone Irish. Eamon Bell came on and talked about the definitely must-see Samoa Joe versus Necro Butcher match. And then within a day or so of this coming out, our chat with FMW historian Bahu about the Megumi Kudo versus Combat Toyota no rope exploding barbed wire match will also be released.
Oh, nice.
You can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music, anywhere else you get pods. linktr.ee/mustseematches to subscribe, and at mustseematches on Twitter. And if you really want any more of this rambling, but in text form, I am at Kieran Edits.
Thank you very much, Kieran, once again. That does it for another episode of Days of Thunder. Welcome back into the saddle, Lee. I'm sure you're already sorry you returned. We'll see you all in...
Do I not get to hit my plugs, no?
What? No, you don't. No, you don't. You're part of the furniture around here. Do you want to get in touch with Lee? Follow the Days of Thunder account where he buries Edge relentlessly.
I don't tweet anymore.
Okay. If you see someone annoyed about a WWE wrestler tweet from the Thunder account, it's not me. I'll give you a hint. Okay. Anyway, that's been another episode of Days of Thunder. We shall see you in 2 weeks in the free feed. See you in 1 week at alargemanappears.com. For only €5 a month, you can get double the amount of podcasts every month minimum. So check it out. We shall talk to you all again very soon. Bye-bye. Thanks everyone for listening to another episode of Days of Thunder. Days of Thunder was produced by Lee Malone and edited by me, Dave Ryan. To keep up to date with the show and find all the ways to listen to us, you can follow us on Twitter at WCW Thunderpod, or click the Linktree link in our Twitter bio or in the show notes. I am at The Day to Dave on Twitter, and Lee is at Malone_713. Days of Thunder is a part of the Voices of Wrestling podcast network. Follow the VOW network anywhere good podcasts are sold for more fine podcasts than you can shake a stick at. Thanks.
Music. It's not just part of our daily lives, it's part of our wrestling fandom as well, and it has been for decades. That's where this show comes in. Music of the Mat, the podcast devoted exclusively to the music of pro wrestling, hosted by Andrew Rich. Hey, that's me. Each episode delivers a different topic with a variety of great guests, fun conversations, musical analysis, and of course, a heartfelt pun or two. New episodes drop every other Tuesday on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or your podcast app of choice. Check out Music of the Mat only on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
Hello, do you like New Japan Pro Wrestling? Are you a Shin Nihon freak? If so, check out the Super J-Cast with Joel and Damon on the Voices of Wrestling Podcast Network.
And even if you fucking hate New Japan Pro Wrestling, listen to the Super J-Cast anyway. Not just for our great show reviews, analysis, and pastrami sandwiches, but there's also usually some dick jokes somewhere in the obligatory opening 30 minutes of absolute nonsense we chat about every single week. That's the Super J-Cast for all the best talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, crisps, and pornography.